Greetings, family. All right. All right.
I need y'all to tell me if I'm tripping or not. Y'all don't find it weird that the 92%, the black women, said that we were going to sit back, not involve ourselves in any of this stuff going on because we did our part during the election?
All right, y'all. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out my TikTok thing. It's always so crazy slow moving. All right, we are the breakers of curses. I'm gonna try to read this slow so I can get this damn TikTok on. I don't know why it's taking so long to come on. Shit. Ugh. This is not gonna work. Damn. All right. What in the fuck? Oh my god. Got everything wrong. I do not know what's going on with my ooh. Are y'all here? Can y'all see me? All of my electronics are experiencing a straight crisis right now. What in the hell? Sorry, what in the hell is going on? I don't know what's going on. All right. I mean, literally everything just stopped working at the same time. My phone, my internet. Okay. All right. We are the breakers of curses, the casters of glorious conspiracies, and the creators of the new world. I, Cassandra-Floyd, am a divine instrument of my mother's divine will. As such, I am protected and guided by the sacred blood and water of my mother, Jacqueline Jeanette Cook's body that anointed my entry into this life. I am divine because she is divine. Mommy and I are one. I call all of our mothers to this moment. I call on they who govern everything, all time and every space in between. She with 10,000 names. Today it is Oya, Yamaya, Oshun, Yami Ajay, the divine architects of existence, usheresses of the new age. Mommy and I are one. I call upon all the divine ancestors and the ashe of every mother on earth to break every curse ever cast upon the mother and her children in all timelines and every dimension. Mommy and I are one. We, the mother's divine children, conspire together today to forever bind those who have or would harm you, great mother. Mommy and I are one. We conspire together today to destroy everything and everyone in every timeline and dimension that has caused suffering and despair. Mommy and I are one. Today, we embody the sacred and divine power of our mothers. Today, we the tree, we the weavers rewrite all time. Today, we the tree, we the weavers rewrite the book of life. Today, we our mother's children call the winds of change. We conjure the primordial dark. We summon the sacred serpent deep from within the earth. We subdue the rogue sun. We control the light. We heal the harm. We embolden the fearful. We instill courageous action. Today, we are staging a global evolution as is our mother's divine will. Mommy and I are one. We, the architects of the new age, now create the new institutions, the new traditions, the new culture, the new ways of being. We ecstatically welcome the destruction of all institutions of hate and harm erected by the godheads of war. Mommy and I are one. We have the power. We have the voice. We are the portals of change. Now, we employ our sacred breath. We give life and sacred blood to this conspiracy. Mommy and I are one. We command, come the wind, come the storm, come the lightning, capture and judge all godheads of war and all betrayers of the mother's divine will. Bring their confusion and war to an immediate end. Scatter them to oblivion, never to be resurrected. We are the fates. We are the furies. We are the Iami Ajay. We are the disseminators of divine time, divine retribution, divine rectification, and evolutionary justice. We are the restorers of heaven on earth under the mother's divine reign. We wake the sacred serpent from her sleep to assist us in this sacred assignment. Love unlimited is our birthright. Harmony is our birthright. Ecstasy is our birthright. Pleasure is our birthright. Freedom is our birthright. This is her divine will, and we are the divine executors of her will. We speak her will into the now to reverberate throughout all time, all space, and all dimensions. It is certainly as we say, forever and ever, Mommy and I are one. Mommy and I are one. Mommy and I are one. So those of you joining in via TikTok, I don't know what's going on, but my feed to my TikTok is acting real extra janky right now. So forgive me. There's nothing I can do about it. I don't know what is going on. I don't know what's going on, but it looks like it's just going to freeze and come back and freeze and come back. So greetings, family, everyone in his house. It took me a long time to recover from that crazy, late, long 8-hour live that I did yesterday. It was good, but it was long. And so today I'm going to be much more concise because I have a lot to do, like I do every day, but I still be up on here trying to trying to give y'all everything in one fell swoop. You feel me? So we're gonna read the prophecy as delivered to us in the year 150 AD by one of the great grand unnamed Sibyls. Thrice 300 years having run their course of fulfillment, Rome by the strife her people shall perish. Rome is doomed to perish, and that indeed by the judgment of God, because it held her name in hatred, and being the enemy of righteousness, it destroyed the people who kept the truth. Let's see. There shall come to thee some time from above, a heavenly stroke deserved, O haughty Rome, and thou shalt be, thank you for the donation, Tracy, and thou shalt be the first to bend thy neck and be raised to the ground, and thee shall fire destructive utterly consume, cast down upon thy pavements, and thy wealth shall perish, and wolves and foxes dwell in thy foundations, and then shalt thou be wholly desolate as if not born. For those that don't know, this is, thank you for the donation, Rose from the Dead. For those that don't know, the prophecy I just read is from the Sibyls, the first prophetesses of Mami Wata, and the Theft of African Prophecy by the Catholic Church by Mama Zogbe. And then lastly, we're going to read the glorious conspiracy of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. I, Cassandra-Floyd, as a peculiar expression of the almighty divine she, the great cosmic mother, Now join in breath with my global family to conspire on behalf of the whole made well. We are breathing these words together now to ensure that our home, her body, is restored to her original perfect glory. Her glory is perfect in peace, love, bliss, happiness, and ecstasy. This world exists because we collectively will it so. We, as the representatives of the Mother's divine reign on earth, speak this beautiful conspiracy as a single cosmic earthly orchestra to guarantee heaven on earth in joyful compliance with our Mother's divine will. Possessing the power of our mothers, we speak this glorious future now. It is certainly as we say, Mommy and I are one. Okay, so I'm gonna just pick up where we left off yesterday. So I want to remind you, this is a big week that we're in. I mean, it's a big week, it's a big time, it's a big everything, but it's a big week that we are in. So I want to a reading with me, and to do that, email me. Oh, here we go. To do that, thank you, Forbidden One, for your donation, darling. To do that, book a reading. Email me at evoemetemp@gmail.com. evoemetemp@gmail.com. Fascinating. Yeah. So you can also use that email to send a contribution, aka donation, if you would like. So again, my name is Cassandra-Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, a religious or spiritual 501c3 located here in Los Angeles. Oh shit. Oh, you know what? I didn't get a notification, Janet. I'll check it when we get off the phone, but I'm sure everything is fine. I just didn't see it yet. She said last night was scrumptious. I appreciate the compliment, my dear. Let me shout everybody out. Oh my God, these glasses give me a headache, but I need them. King Ken's Color Box, Vayoni N, Queen Yelsa, Rising Sun. Let's see. Katrugan. I hope I'm not butchering y'all names. Save Our Trees. I'm My Inner Me. Lakeisha Williams. Azure. Fontella Tyson. Forbidden One. And Janet Kennedy. Welcome to the room. Glad y'all are here. So anyway, let's see here. So I have some, I have to finish what I was doing yesterday before I do anything else. But just to reiterate, Sage Page, how you doing, darling? For those of you, especially those of you on TikTok, because I have not mastered the art of going live on TikTok, so everything I have to tell you like verbally. So we opened with a conspiracy that we have been reciting every day at 11 p.m. Universal Time. Greetings, No I Israel. And so we've been reciting this conspiracy together on 6 of the 7 continents at 11 p.m. Universal Time. And we will be completing, it's a part of a ritual, this conspiracy that we recite every day. That ritual / conspiracy will be rounding out on August 25th. Short version, the reason that we started doing this on May 20th is because May 20th was the 1700th anniversary of the First Council of Nicaea, which essentially gave birth to the first ever in human history state ordained or state legitimized religion. And that was under Emperor Constantine. So May 20th was the 1700th anniversary of the Council of Nicaea. And the Council of Nicaea included, or demanded for that matter, Constantine demanded that the chief wise men, custodians of the spiritual traditions throughout the empire be locked behind closed doors. 318 men from all over the known world at that time, from as far south as northern Africa, as far east as China, all throughout the Eurasian area, and all over Europe. Everyone who had any spiritual leader, any religious leader, any cultural custodian were called to go behind closed doors from May 20th to August 25th in the year 325 AD. And in this closed door session of 318 men, they gave birth to what we know now as the Christian religion, Christianity, aka Catholicism. Thank you for the donation, Queen Yelsa. And so we, based on the walk that we have been doing on my channel, on my YouTube channel, which is at DaughterOfTheFates, FATES, at DaughterOfTheFates, based on this walk that we've been doing for a long time, y'all, for about 6 years overall, and most specifically for the last 2 years, we set out to use the power that we know we have, the power that we came here with, the power that we embody, our creative power, which is to open our throat and speak the change into the world that we command to see. And so we, at 11:11 p.m. Universal Time, every day from May 20th to August 25th, are reciting the conspiracy to right all wrongs. That's what I spoke out at the beginning of this live, the conspiracy to right all wrongs. And I have gotten confirmation from women, literally women and men for that matter, and others, as a matter of fact, from six of the 7 continents, that they are participating every day. I don't know what those numbers are. I would imagine it's probably anywhere from 200 to 300 people around the globe, not just the 7 continents. I mean, not just the 6 continents. I got confirmation from several people in Hawaii that they are participating, in Fiji that they are participating, in the Philippines that they are participating. And so, that's what we're doing. So if you're interested in participating in the global conspiracy to right all wrongs until August 25th, then email me at evoemetemp@gmail.com. evoemetemp@gmail.com. And I will email you on how you too can participate. Let's see. For those of you who are joining from YouTube, I have just placed the link in the comment section. I've just placed the link in the comment section on how you can receive a copy of the conspiracy, and another document that is attached with it that you'll need to either print out or write out. And then the directions on how, because it's not just us reciting the conspiracy, there's a ritual attached to it, a preparation that needs to go with that. I wrote mine out, so this is what we have with us every time we recite the conspiracy to right all wrongs. And so this is a part of the ritual, and this is what is going to be important when we close the ritual out on August 25th. So if you are interested in participating in the conspiracy to right all wrong, those of you who are on TikTok, please email me at evoemetemp@gmail.com so that you can get the instructions to be able to participate in that process. And then I don't know, y'all. I'm because right now my TikTok took so long to like come on and be active. I'm about tempted to read the conspiracy again, truth be told. I have a lot to discuss with you today, but I am about tempted to recite the conspiracy again. I think I will do that, as a matter of fact. So those of you on YouTube who were here, at the beginning of the recitation of the conspiracy, just bear with me. I'm going to read this to the family up here on TikTok so that they know what it is I'm talking about. Those who have just been able to come into the room. And so if you have noise makers, if you have an ancestral staff, if you have something that you use ceremonially to make noise, to call your ancestors into the room, you can do that now while I recite the global conspiracy to right all wrongs. This is for those of you who are joining in on TikTok. We are the breakers of curses, the casters of glorious conspiracies, and the creators of the new world. I, Cassandra-Floyd, am a divine instrument of my mother's divine will. As such, I am protected and guided by the sacred blood and water of my mother, Jacqueline Jeanette Cook's body that anointed my entry into this life. I am divine because she is divine. Mommy and I are one. I call all of our mothers to this moment. I call on they who govern everything, all time and every space in between. She with 10,000 names. Today it is Oya, Yemaya, Oshun, Iyami Ajay, the divine architects of existence, usheresses of the new age. Mommy and I are one. I call upon all the divine ancestors and the Ashe of every mother on earth to break every curse ever cast upon the mother and her children in all timelines and in every dimension. Mommy and I are one. We, the mother's divine children, conspire together today to forever bind those who have or would harm you, great mother. Mommy and I are one. We conspire together today to destroy everything and everyone in every timeline and dimension that has caused suffering and despair. Mommy and I are one. Today, we embody the sacred and divine power of our mothers. Today, we the tree, we the weavers, rewrite all time. Today, we the tree, we the weavers, rewrite the book of life. Today, we our mother's children call the winds of change. We conjure the primordial dark. We summon the sacred serpent deep from within the earth. We subdue the rogue sun. We control the light. We heal the harmed. We embolden the fearful. We instill courageous action. Today, we are staging a global evolution as is our mother's divine will. Mommy and I are one. We, the architects of the new age, now create the new institutions, the new traditions, the new culture, the new ways of being. We ecstatically welcome the radical destruction of all institutions of harm and hate erected by the godheads of war. Mommy and I are one. We have the power. We have the voice. We are the portals of change. Now we employ our sacred breath and we give life and blood to this conspiracy. Mommy and I are one. We command, come the wind, come the storm, come the lightning, capture and judge all godheads of war and all betrayers of the mother's divine will. Bring their confusion and war to an immediate end. Scatter them to oblivion, never to be resurrected. We are the fates. We are the furies. We are the Iyami Ajay. We are the disseminators of divine time, divine retribution, divine rectification, and evolutionary justice. We are the restorers of heaven on earth under the mother's divine reign. We wake the sacred serpent from her sleep to assist us in this sacred assignment. Love unlimited is our birthright. Harmony is our birthright. Ecstasy is our birthright. Pleasure is our birthright. Freedom is our birthright. This is her divine will, and we are the divine executioner, the divine executors of her divine will. We speak her will into the now to reverberate throughout all time, all space, and all dimensions. It is certainly as we say, forever and ever, Mommy and I are one. Mommy and I are one. Mommy and I are one. All right, family. So that is the global conspiracy to right all wrongs. So again, if you are interested, if you are tuning in via TikTok and you are interested in participating in the global conspiracy to right all wrongs, be sure to email me at evoemetemp@gmail.com. You can also use that email address, evoemetemp@gmail.com, to offer donations, contributions to the building of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. You can use that email address to send a Zelle donation or a PayPal donation. For those of you who would prefer to use Cashapp, it'll be $ DaughterOfTheFates, FATES, DaughterOfTheFates. And for Venmo, it is my name, Cassandra, Cassandra-Floyd, FLOYD. Okay, if you are wanting to support in other ways, then you can also use that email address to inquire about divination with me. And you can also, those of you who are tuning in on TikTok in particular, you can support by purchasing jewelry from my Etsy store, which is DaughterOfTheFates, FATES. Just go to etsy.com and put DaughterOfTheFates in the search engine inside etsy.com. Okay, so that's the housekeeping. And there's a couple of things I wanted to look up before I got going good. Yep. Yes. Because I was on a roll yesterday and barely even slowed up to yeah, barely slowed up. Yeah, I wanted to find that. Hold on, let me get some bookmarks. Because there was some stuff I was looking for yesterday and couldn't find it. So yeah, I'm probably the only person that keeps about 10,000 bookmarks handy because I'm always marking stuff. Let's see here. Let's see that. Oh, that too. Yep. Yep. Okay. So I hope you guys are well. I woke up this morning to a whole lot of timestamps for for the live I did yesterday. Y'all know I love timestamps. Y'all know I love timestamps. So that was awesome. And I literally went through all of them. I've been spending all morning going through all the timestamps that y'all sent me. Because y'all know I be on the roll. 99.9% of what I say in these lives, I do not even recall. I do not even remember. Yes. Yes. And so I'll be needing them timestamps. Yeah. Let's see. Jupiter, Venus, Saturn. I might need to mark that too. Ciao. I'm still on another deep dive. Let's see. You know, that too. And so much. So much. Yeah. Love that. Love that. Okay. So anyway, yeah, I appreciate the timestamps. Needed those. I am, as we speak, plotting and scheming on an idea for a new workshop. Yeah, I need to go outside. I haven't been outside in days. My eyes feel crazy. But I'm plotting and scheming on a new workshop. Matter of fact, let me just and the idea is dope. And it actually has a lot to do with what I've been talking to you guys about for several days now. Actually for some time now, truth be told. Okay. And then I'm going to get back on. Yeah, I'll do that now. Get back on what we were talking about yesterday. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh shit. Yep. Leave that out. And then also as a part of the day today, because the energy is so big, we're still in this portal energy. Yesterday was the 777 portal. It was the entry of Uranus into the sign of Gemini for the first time in 84 years, which was 1949. And let's see, so that is yeah, so charms and spiritual madness. Spiritual madness and charms. Okay. I think that will do for the time being. Yep. 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 It's yeah, that will do for the time being. So I'll leave that there. That's okay. All right. Okay. All right. Plus, we have another big event happening. Okay, so yesterday was 777. You feel me? That was big. We're still in there. We're gonna be in that sharply for some time. As a matter of fact, let me pull my notes out and go ahead and get this shit started. Get this shit on the roll. Put those there. Child, goddamn. Let me not forget that. Hold on. Where did I see that at? Oh, shit. Hold on. It's, Thank you for your support on my Etsy store, Margaret B. I love that. Love that. Where? Ooh, there it is. I knew I should have freaking. Let's see. I just found something. Now I got to find it again. Hold on. Something told me I needed it. You know what? Let me do this too. Where's that marker? I went on another wormhole today about our bad birds. And it's like, you don't think it's a thing, but I didn't realize how deep the rabbit hole would be on birds. So anyway, let's see here. So where did I see that? That was I might have some assignments for you guys today too, truth be told. Let's see, that's Yeah, I may very well have some assignments for y'all. I need to start divvying up my my research. I need to go ahead and jumpstart this this research committee. Because it's like the deeper I go, the deeper I get. Yeah. I wish I saw those earrings before I sent you the Cashapp. Which earrings? Whew, I got a headache. Which earrings, baby? Which earrings you talking about? The ones I was wearing yesterday? Because I showed a lot of earrings yesterday. Let's see that. That's awesome, Janet Kennedy. I'm glad to see you are so jolly on the spot in your response. Because I mean that, like, now I'm at this state of like where now it's borderline. My research life is borderline becoming an addiction. Okay, my research life is borderline becoming problematic. You know, I should mention this today too. So let me do that. It's just so much and such a epic period in human history. And I feel like, I know I shouldn't, but I feel like we're in a perpetual state of playing catch up. I feel like we're in a perpetual state of playing catch up. Oh, there it is again. Yeah. Yeah. Also, you guys, I'm going to start posting a lot. I'm going to start posting a lot on my YouTube channel in what they call the community section, where you'll see people just post like pictures or share other people's videos and stuff like that. There's so much coming through that I'm going to be sharing. I shared like, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 things in the community section of my YouTube channel today. And I don't post idly. When I post something, it's purposeful. You feel me? And so I would like for you guys to start really paying attention to the community section on my YouTube channel. There were 2 videos at least today that were just, baby, gave me life today. And I want you to experience that rush today. There was one, I forget the sister's name. I literally just saw the video where she was, it was entitled something to the, I forget what it's entitled. I ain't even gonna lie. The crux of it. Let me just say that. The crux of it was, stop creating art for white people. I said, oh shit. I mean, I don't remember the title, but I posted it because I want you all to watch it. It was very brief, like maybe 15 minutes, but it was this sister talking about like the history of Black creators, you know, being forced to tailor and tame their artistic expressions for the sake of being able to make a living. That if you do not cater to white people in your art, in your artistic expression, if you do not tone it down, if you do not make it something that directly relates to white existence so that they can understand what you're trying to say in your art, then there's a very real possibility, at least in the past, that your ass wouldn't eat, that you would actually be a poor, starving artist. And she talks about all of that. She spends a lot of time talking in particular about Toni Morrison. And it was a really invigorating piece, because art right now, and I ain't saying exclusively, but I am saying art right now is the primary instrument of liberation that we have easy access to. Art, in whatever fashion you create art, is the primary weapon, instrument, tool that you have to be able to stage a contest, to be able to create an institution of dual and contending power. Your art should always be an institution of dual and contending power. Before it is anything, your art should be an instrument of dual and contending power. What do I mean when I say dual and contending power? Because I know y'all hear me say that a lot. I know I do not explain it often, though I have a lot in the past. But for those of you who are new or relatively new to my channel, a lot of you have come to my channel just this year, just since the new year started. An institution of dual and contending power is what we would say in the scientific world. For every action, there must be an equal and opposite reaction. For every action, there is an opposite and equal reaction. But the problem is that we have been conditioned in a world that teaches us not to create the equal and opposite reaction, the equal and opposite response, the equal and opposite, the goddamn contending worldview, the contending worldview. You feel me? And so we streamline our only method of being able to visualize some kind of change that is going to be radical enough that it has an impact that we can experience in our lives, that we can identify in our lives. But the only idea that we can even imagine or visualize in mass that can do that is an outdated, antiquated, malignant, strategically developed, sleight of hands ass shit, bullshitted ass myth of democracy. The myth of democracy, boo. The myth of democracy. In the organization that I used to be in when I was much more hardcore than I am today, if you can imagine that, the chairman of that organization used to say all of the time that all a democracy is a hidden dictatorship. And nothing has ever been more true today. That a democracy is just a hidden dictatorship. Today, that shit ain't even hidden. It ain't even hidden. But this is years ago. This is 20 years ago or so that I was in this militant organization. A democracy is just a hidden dictatorship. And in this day of revelations, in this day of the grand revealing of all that has been hidden, the dictatorship is not hidden anymore. The dictatorship is not hidden anymore. You feel me? So many people on the internet lamenting and woeing and such because they just cannot believe that this is fascism. This is fascism. Oh my God, this fascism. What about the Constitution? This is illegal. They can't do that. And every single solitary branch of government that you have relied on so faithfully and so hopefully is literally betraying you in real time, like in your face. It's like, well, we can't rely on the Supreme Court of the United States no more. Well, we can't rely on the Senate no more. Well, we can't rely on the House of Representatives no more. Ain't nobody got our back no more. Ain't nobody got our back no more. Ain't nobody even faking. Ain't nobody even feigning staging a contest. Why would they? Everybody that you expect is supposed to stage a contest on your behalf, on the behalf of the Constitution, on the behalf of democracy, on the behalf of America and American idealism. They get paid well. They ain't going to be impacted at all. Not a single moment, not a single second by what is happening in the White House. They ain't gonna be impacted. Ain't nobody up in any of them places, them positions of power that you done posted them up in, making less than $150,000 to $250,000 a year. Many of them, as they knew what was coming down the pipe, because Trump put them on blast. Like, look, I'm about to wreck this whole shit. I'm about to wreck this whole shit. So you might want to get your ducks in a row. You might want to get your shit together. Talking about those who you vote for, the Senate, the senators, the House of Representatives, your Congress. You feel me? Those people that you voted for. That's who he telling. That's who he telling, right? As he promising you an unending campaign of shock and awe, he putting his constituents. Who is his constituents? Everybody that occupies these positions of power that you put them in. You're like, look, you know what I'm saying? Let me put you on game about some of these stocks that you can grow your money as we destabilize the whole thing. We gonna be all right. Those of us who are the figureheads of power, we gonna be all right. Your elected senators, your elected Congress people, and so on and so on. We gonna be all right. We gonna be all right. That's why ain't nobody rallying on your behalf. That's why hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of representatives and Congress people and senators, all of these people who occupy these positions of power that are supposed to be there to secure democracy in the great America and shit. Everybody silent. Crickets. Crickets. And those who are talking like your beloved AOC, child, they just play jocking. They play jocking, baby. They play jocking. She reading the script, child. We have to at least make it look like we are pretending to defend the people's rights and shit. Meanwhile, there's a girl, I got to find her video. I saw it while I was driving one day. And there's a girl who did this breakdown, man, because you know the stuff. You don't have to know the details to know the stuff, to know this shit shabby and flimsy as hell, right? But sometimes it helps to know the details. She did this long, beautiful, like video essay about, you know, the age-old story. You want to know why the world look like it look? Follow the money. You feel me? And so she's naming she's putting everybody on blast. Everybody who holds a seat in office, child. Everybody from congressmen to senators to representatives to everybody to Barron Trump. Everybody. She's putting everybody on blast. And she's like, it ain't like make believe all you got to do, because right now, at least for the time being, you can go to the government website and see where campaign contributions came from. And she's like, if you want to know why your life look like it look, you need to know who is supporting the who is getting paid, who up in these positions of power that you done put there, who getting paid, who is paying them, and that will always tell you where the money comes from, where donation money comes from, will always tell you, despite what a person says out their face. Who they take contributions from will tell you where their loyalties lie, will tell you what their material interests are. You don't have to, quote, trust them. You don't have to, quote, like we was talking about yesterday, rely on hope and faith that somebody gonna do the right thing. All you have to do is look at their history in black and white, numbers in black and white about who is the lobbyist that won them to their position, who is the organization or the individual that handed them money while they was jockeying for your vote, who is supporting X, Y, and Z behind closed doors. What have they supported? Who were they in their hometown before they rose up to these positions? How did they move and behave in those smaller positions? Maybe a city council person or whatever. And this girl's video, baby, every single day since January, I keep saying, don't nothing surprise me. Can't nothing surprise me. Can't nothing shock me. And every single solitary day, I come across some information that's like, goddamn, just when I think I could not be shook to my core about the depth of the depravity that is functioning as government, not only here in the United States of America, around the whole circumference of the globe. The whole circumference of the globe. So why y'all be acting shook and surprised, dismayed and bewildered? Same reason I do is because I'm a good person. So when I see somebody do monstrously, unimaginably diabolical shit, I be dismayed and bewildered. Just when you think it can't get no worse, just when you think that people who have hearts and blood pumping through their veins could not possibly come up with the machinations of goddamn diabolatry, child, the sickness in their head allows them to go even more disgusting than their prior imaginings. This girl, I'm gonna find this video so I can post it in the description box below my YouTube page. But baby, there wasn't nobody exempt. She's like, this ain't a partisan issue for me. This is not a partisan issue for me. I don't care. These are Democrats who dirty as the day is long, all the way up to your beloved Kamala, and her Zionist husband, to your beloved Kamala and her Zionist husband, all the way up, up. And I don't know how many ways I can tell y'all to stop pole jocking Kamala. Stop using Kamala as the excuse to come up to messed up conclusions that make you look like political opportunists. That girl ain't said y'all ain't heard hide nor hair from that woman since she ran off with y'all money. Y'all ain't heard hide nor hair from her since she ran off with your $88 million. Y'all ain't heard hide nor hair from her. Now, thank you. Appreciate y'all black ass people for doing that for me. You feel me? Appreciate you. This gonna secure me. Trump putting everybody on game. Do you think Trump give a damn about partisan issues? Do you think he is a Republican? Let me ask you that. Do you think Trump is a Republican? Do you think Trump is a Republican? Do you really think Trump is a Republican? He is as much a Republican today as he was a Democrat the first 40-something years that he was able to vote and voted Democrat religiously. Do it make a difference? No, he's still the same diabolical, monstrous human being he ever was. Do you think, what's this dude name? Rick? What was his name? Rick? Whatever the hell his name was. The billionaire that was running for mayor of Los Angeles. Child, he switched party affiliations literally 6 months before he threw his hat in the ring to run for mayor. A multi-billionaire. Rick, whatever the hell his name was, running against the Negro who is the mayor now. Do you think that do you really believe that there is a difference at all in the parties? Do y'all really believe that still today, all these years later, despite the fact that you know now that it don't take but a second for them to say, okay, we need to manipulate the population, you feel me? So let's just switch the ideology of the party. Just a half a second ago, every black person in this country was a Republican. Just a half a second ago. What was it? The 1950s, the late 1940s, early 1950s, when black people once and for all decided that they was not going to vote for the Republicans no more because they had been perpetually betrayed by the Republican Party, the radical Republicans. And that's when all of a sudden everybody black became a Democrat. Do you think that they missed the beat? Democrats and Republicans, former Dixiecrats and radical Republicans, do you think they missed a beat in how they were able to finessefully continue to siphon your wealth off of you just because they switched the parties? Child, y'all better stop. When in the conspiracy, when we say we create the new interests, we create the new institutions, we create the new culture, we create the new traditions, we create the new ways of being. I'm not talking metaphorically. Like, we have to have we have to have enough fortitude and courage and radical thought to say, okay, now at what point are we going to say this is not working for us? It don't matter it don't matter what Democrat is in a position of power. We have always taken leaps back under Democratic presidents, and all they had to do was coon and clown in front of us. And we was like, that's our boy right there, Clinton. That's our dude right there. You feel me? All you got to do is put on some sunglasses and play a saxophone and shuck and jive. And you got black authors calling him the first black president as his one term, Clinton, his one term in office did more damage to the black community than any president since. Think I'm lying, don't you? Y'all got people in prison right now today as a consequence of Clinton's administration. Ain't seen the light of day as a consequence of Clinton's administration, not just Clinton's administration, his homeboy Biden's legislation. It was Biden who drew up all this legislation, one strike laws for housing that increased the homelessness of black women by I forget the numbers, but it was something like threefold in one term. That nigga was he served one term, Clinton. It was Biden's legislation that orchestrated the 3 strike laws. That if you get caught stealing a piece of pizza, but you've already been in jail twice, your ass can go to jail for life. Some of y'all people in prison right now today as a consequence of your beloved Biden and his road dog Kamala. Right now. The 3 strike laws, that was big in the 90s. You feel me? It was your boy, the first black president, saxophone playing as Clinton, playing in your goddamn face. It was Clinton's administration that was responsible for the militarization of the police. It was no longer, friendly, neighborhood officer Johnny who just had a regular old pistol in his side piece. It was Clinton's administration. It was Clinton's administration that militarized the police. Yeah, it was. What else Clinton did? Hold on. It was Biden under Clinton's administration that made it for the first time ever. Why they did that? Made it for the first time ever that your student loans, you could not file bankruptcy on your student loans. Why they did that? Why they did that? Why they did that? Because you black ass bitches was going to college. Oh no, we can't have we was just talking about welfare queens yesterday. Now all of a sudden these women here, these black women out here trying to prove us wrong. Oh no, we can't have that. We can't have that. We got to find a way to discourage these women from going to college. Why you think that is? Why you think they did that? Because they had just preached under Reagan's administration, under Bush Sr. for 2 decades about how black women ain't shit. Everything wrong with the black community is black women's fault. Black women addicted to crack. Not that crack was a goddamn philosophical and ideological bomb that decimated the entire community. No, that wasn't what it was. No. No. That everything wrong with black people is because black women be having too much babies, too many babies. You feel me? They be smoking crack and they babies is crack addicted. And we became the face of the AIDS pandemic. Isn't that something? And there's we became the face of the AIDS epidemic. You understand me? And by the time Clinton came into office, because black women was like, look, they can say what they say, bitch. We gonna do what we do. What black women have always done under the worst and most brutal circumstances. Fuck what you heard, we gonna do what we do. They can talk that shit if they want to. We gonna be right on the ground, keeping our head low, keeping ourselves invisible so we can make this money, so we can create this hustle, so we can take care of our kids, so we can create the new ways to figure out how we gonna thrive in the midst of an obvious all-out assault on black women. Because that's what the 70s and the 80s and the first half of the 90s was an all-out campaign waged against black femininity. And everybody jumped right on board. Everybody, including your Bill Clinton, jumped right on board. That everybody can talk about the increase of prison incarceration under one term of Clinton's administration. He served one term. And under the Clinton administration, after 2 consecutive terms of Bush Sr., you hear me? It wasn't Bush Sr. It wasn't the legislation of Bush Sr.'s campaign, his administration that did this. Under one term of Bill Clinton, the incarceration rate of black men increased by 200%. And that's all we hear is how Clinton's administration and the 3 strike laws and all of this shit rained down. You know, what's the other thing that Biden, the legislation that Biden came up with that was directly tied to the 3 strike laws? It was the law, the legislation that made it so that that somehow cocaine, people who were caught with cocaine, the quote punishment for cocaine was severely less than being caught with crack cocaine, which is way cut, right? And that was an obvious racist policy. Didn't go nowhere though, because Clinton was like, this right on. I like this shit right here. Let's go ahead and pass this shit. And his entire, everybody, the senators, and your Congress people, and your rep, everybody was like, yep, that sounds like a good idea. Because Nancy Reagan, for all these years, had been launching the DARE program, and drugs are dangerous, and marijuana is a gateway drug, and it's devastating the entire community. So we must wage war on drugs. That ain't the narrative today, though. But back then, when it was a black ass problem off the tail end of the counterinsurgency against black rebellious young people trying to stage a contest against this terroristic government. Oh no, now we staging war on drugs that we put in everybody's community and shit. And picked up the gauntlet, baby. He damn sure did that. And everybody talks about, because it was obvious, because where it was black women as the welfare queens, all you were seeing every day is black young people being perp walked on TV as the face of the drug crisis in the United States. And so we all knew those statistics back in those days, that the prison population increased by the male prison population increased by 200% during Clinton's administration. But don't nobody, because nobody gives a goddamn about the lived experiences of black women in this country. Nobody, none of you don't. Because it's so easy for you to ignore the crisis of the assaults against black women that has been perpetual and non-ending. And so during Clinton's administration, we all knew the statistics about poor, victimized black male young people caught up in this campaign, kicked off by Ronald Reagan and Oliver North and all of them criminals during the Iran-Contra. But guess what? Everybody was silent when the statistics came out that yes, while the incarceration of young black males in this country increased 200%, guess what? The rate of incarceration of black women during Clinton's administration was 400 goddamn %. Crickets. Mum's the word. Nobody say nothing. Nobody ain't got a word to say. No one has a word to say. The increase of incarceration of black women during Clinton's administration as a consequence of Biden's policies, 400% increase in the incarceration of black women. Crickets. This was literally a bomb dropped on the black community to decimate an entire population, to decimate generations that are still suffering from this campaign today. Mom's word. You feel me? And so I'm sitting here watching this girl. That's what it means to be able to study history and to tie history to the now. You feel me? And so I was watching this girl's video about all the takers that you have voted for that's sitting up in this cushy ass life right now. You understand? And then they homeboy Trump put them on point. You feel me? Look, come January, we about to blow the lid off this shit. We about to kick the legs from up under this bitch. So you might want to go ahead and make these investments. She talked about every investment made by every single elected official. Do you understand what I'm saying? Y'all think I'm lying? This girl's video blew. I didn't think I could be shocked. Child, she put everybody on blast. Every single solitary person and every single stock they bought before the end of December in preparation for what he promised. Look, Get your money in order. Get your ducats in a row, because I'm about to kick the legs up from under this bitch come January. You feel me? And every single one of your elected officials, how much money they spent, where they spent it, what stocks they bought, how their wealth has magnified, how their wealth has exploded just since January. I said, oh my God. Oh my God. And your ass really believe. Y'all still really believe. That's the thing that blows my mind. Y'all still really believe that poverty is a consequence of a person, not being ambitious. Poverty in America. Y'all still believe that homelessness is the byproduct of someone who just has given up on life, who ain't trying. Because we live in America and anybody can be anything in America. Y'all actually to this day believe that a person who is worth $230 billion worked hard enough to earn $230 billion. Y'all actually believe that. Y'all actually believe that. Y'all actually believe that the man who actually admitted to manipulating the foreign goddamn agent, the foreigner who admitted and could admit with a straight face that he actually manipulated the so-called democratic process in a way that guaranteed that Trump would win. But now that he got an attitude with Trump, he just gonna put it all out there. Child, y'all actually believe that this guy who is on track, because even as he and Trump are supposedly, they're like opponents now, like they don't like each other now. Y'all really believe that? They are enemies now. They enemies now. Meanwhile, his entry into the White House, Elon, his entry into the White House, he had lost all this wealth. Y'all remember just last year they were saying like, damn, he done lost billions and billions of dollars. This dude is no longer, because he was the one on track to become the first trillionaire on earth. But he lost so much money towards the end of last year. They was like, he didn't drop behind Bezos. Now Bezos is the one. He the one on the track to becoming the first trillionaire on earth. And all of a sudden, guess what? Just a few months into Trump's term, you feel me? Even though they're supposed to be arch enemies now and playing this little play fight game in front of your face and shit, that motherfucker is right back on track to become the first trillionaire on earth. All them billions and billions and billions of dollars that he lost just at the end of last year, guess what? That shit has returned and then some. And then some. Because y'all really believe he just smart enough to win, quote, his money back. I want to tell you something, because we have to monitor how we talk. And I'm talking about in terms of the energy that we put out in the world. We have to be ever present in how we loose and disseminate words. We have to do that because we know that words, we've seen the evidence of it. Everything that we look at on earth, everything that has been built and constructed is the evidence of the power of our words to manifest something. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not talking about in some ambiguous, ultra mystical way. I'm saying I communicate something and you're like, damn, that's a great idea. I've got this particular skill set. How can I contribute to making this idea in your brain a reality? How can I lend my skills to this project that I am certain will do something radical for the earth? And then you too talk to FOMO. And them folks say, damn, y'all need to get on board with this project over here. Y'all got some money to lend to the execution of this project over here? Because once it can come from here and become a material force, this has the ability to change the world. And they be like, damn, that sounds like a good ass idea. You know what? I accept it. I'm going to give you $100,000. I'm going to give you $500,000 to execute this idea that right now is still in the vapors, child. It's still invisible. Everything that you see, everything that you put your hands on started that way. So when I talk about, quote, thoughts becoming things, I'm talking about science. I'm talking about the real world. I'm talking about energy transformed into a material force. And so that's why I say we have to be really mindful about what and how we communicate. Early on, I used to say all the time, I'll probably pick it back up, that in this moment, I forget who said it. It's a quote from someone. It's not my quote. Somebody said that now, right now, this second, every second that passes, now, right now, every second that passes, now, right now is all futures. I love that quote. Now is all futures. Now is all possibilities. Why? Because with every word out your mouth, with every behavior that you present in the world with, you are creating something. You don't have to be actively, consciously like maneuvering and manipulating and plotting and scheming. Every moment, you are creating a future. You're creating a future. And so now that we know that, and we know it not in some super superfluous, ever mystical way, but now we have history and science that backs up the idea and philosophy of thoughts becoming things. Now we have the science to back this philosophy up. Now we have the history to back this philosophy up. Now we have the details in execution that backs the philosophy of thoughts becoming things. Now we have everything that we need to back up that this is a real concept that's based and proven with science. This is the moment where spirituality and science meet. It's moments like these where spirituality and science meet. Remember each other, recognize that they fortify one another. And so when I talk to you about these things that I'm talking to you about right now, child, and about the illusion that is right before your eyes all the time, playing in your face all the time, they comfortable in the illusion because they like, damn, this is a job well done. We did that. They'll believe anything we tell them. Shit, they really believe that I, in my life and in my genius, I have earned $1 trillion. They really believe that shit. Well, goddamn, that's awesome. We did a good job. We did a good job. Because y'all believe that. Not only do you believe it, we still live in an age where people still glorify the most malignant displays of unbelievable opulence and say, well, it must be because he's smart that he got all that money. No, it's not. Because what I have perpetually told you is that genius in a world dominated by patriarchy, can only recreate itself. And what is itself? Patriarchy that possesses genius or knowledge or information. It can only reproduce its malignancy. That's all it can. It cannot. It is not within itself to create anything that is life-giving, life-fortifying, life-sustaining, beneficial to the whole without sacrificing self. It can't. It cannot even conceive of it. It can't conceive of it. And so you look at these men, these 3,028 human beings on the earth who own and control 3/4 of the earth's wealth. 3,028 people control 3/4 of the earth's wealth. According to the World Health Organization, 3/4 of the population live off less than $10 a day. And you don't think that is directly related? The fact that these few own 3/4 of the world's wealth and 3/4 of the world's population, 3/4 of 8 billion people, 3/4 of 8 billion people live off less than $10 a day. Literally. And you don't see it for what it is. Straight up, unbridled, boundless, radical, malignant theft. Because them 3/4 of the people on earth living off less than $10 a day, they in mines digging up wealth. They in holes digging up stones, digging up oil, digging up diamonds that they never benefit from. They get paid 2 bowls of rice a day. They working in goddamn rubber plantations in Liberia and shit, literally cannot even afford to eat one meal a day. And you really think that these people you keep placing the label of genius upon so that you can reconcile in your mind that they must be smarter than me and that's why they're rich. No, they are not smarter than you. Not even close. Not even close. Not even close. Not even close. That's not my opinion. That's not my opinion. Child, what's his name? Bill Gates? Bill Gates, is that? Yeah, Bill Gates. That nigga didn't go, he didn't finish college. He didn't finish college. They say what? 3% of billionaires in this country actually have college degrees. They ain't go to college, but they done told you your ass need to go to college to get a good job. Meanwhile, your beloved Biden made it so that you can't even get no relief from your student loans, even as you cannot get a job in the field that you went to school for and make what you're supposed to make in that job. And so you can't tell I'm $268,000 in loan debt. And when I tell you I do not have the intention of paying a single penny. How you gonna charge me $268,000 for what you stole from some person of color somewhere the hell on earth and then feed it back to us at $268,000? I refuse. Damn sure do. Damn sure do. I refuse. I refuse. I refuse. I refuse. And so here we are, always beating ourselves up because some billionaire playing in your damn face about his genius. And then every time you turn around, somebody find out the truth. Elon Musk didn't invent shit. Not an actual thing that has been given credit to him for, quote, inventing. Not one single thing that he has been given credit for. That ain't even no conspiracy theory. Nothing that he has been given credit for, quote, inventing and shit, did he invent. He stole from somebody for pennies on the dollar or under the duress of threat. And then y'all like, he sure is smart. That must be why he a billionaire. Stop doing that. For every billionaire that exists, y'all, there are 909 billionaires in the United States of America. 909 billionaires in the United States of America. Those billionaires so I want to tell you, I'm not ranting. I want to tell you that when I talked to you at length yesterday about being able, especially over this next week, we have the 777 portal that started yesterday. And that portal, oh, you know what? That's what I meant to do. Let me find my other book. That portal, yeah, we always think of things being, over and done. But Gemini will, that Uranus will remain in Gemini until, let's see. Mm-hmm. 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 I'm hungry. Mm. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Damn, did I not write this nowhere? Like, what the hell? That's so weird. Okay, I must have skipped some pages because I don't see it. Let's see that. That wouldn't make any sense. How in the world did I do that? Let's see. Damn, I guess I did. So busy taking other notes. Uranus. I can't believe I did that. Uranus will, so it's in Gemini as of yesterday. It will remain in Gemini until November 8th of this year, where it will station retrograde back into Taurus. Thank you. It will. Thank you, Jabber Watson, for the donation. It will station retrograde November 8th. Thank you, TAL 2021, for the donation, dear. It will station retrograde in November back into Taurus. So you remember I talked pretty at length yesterday about how Uranus entered Taurus in May of 2018. And so from 2018 until yesterday, think about what monumental events occurred in your personal life while Uranus was in Taurus. And then also what was happening on the greater scale of the world, which was a ginormous amount of stuff when Uranus was making its very laborious traverse through the sign of Taurus up until yesterday. And so when Uranus stations retrograde back into Taurus in November and will remain in retrograde until January of 2026, for those few months, November, December, and January, think about that long traverse through Taurus, Uranus and Taurus, to give you at least some insight about the intensity. But again, when you guys listen to astrologers, everything that they say, recognize that in what they say, what they are communicating, especially when they start talking about historical events that are indicative of the potentialities of a coming event, recognize they're only talking about one polarity. They're not talking about all the potentialities. They're talking about one polarity. And we are in a period that allows for us to be able to envision the exact opposite as a potentiality, as a polarity. That's how we have to hear every single astrologer. Because when I tell you the previous 48 hours that I stayed up for 15 hours straight, watching astrologer after astrologer after astrologer talk about the 777 portal and all of the things that was happening during the 777 portal and the Uranus entering into Gemini and what the potentialities are, because Uranus and Gemini has always meant Americans' entry into war. And that's all that everybody said. Every 15 hours straight. When I tell you my brain hurts, 15 hours straight of watching different astrologers that I respect. And all of them, that's all they talked about was war. That really, is that the only thing that happened every single time? Uranus entered Gemini was just war. There was nothing else happening in society. No inventions, no creativity, no radical changes in goddamn social culture. No, none of that. Lying. Why y'all lying? Are y'all being paid by the state? That's what I wanted to know this week. I was like, what the? Because a lot of these astrologers that I follow are dope. So I'm like, but what's going on right now? Like, why that's all y'all talking about? As if we don't have the ability, as if we have not been offered the opportunity to change everything that is. But you ain't even giving us enough insight and reasonable optimism to say, but these are the periods in human history where regular everyday people like yourself turn the tide on this shit. Ain't now one of y'all gonna say that? Ain't now one of y'all gonna say that? Like the French Revolution just sprung the fuck up from up under a turnip somewhere and changed the entire culture of France forever. But nope. All you do is mention one name when you talk about the French Revolution, a couple of people when you mention the French Revolution, and then it happened, and then it was done, and France was changed forever. The economy of France was changed. That's the reason they write y'all out of these stories. Do you think that the French Revolution just popped off? Just out of the because the other people that they accredit for the French Revolution is the great thinkers of the age of enlightenment. It was the great philosophers. It was the great thinkers and philosophers that taught people for the first time about what freedom can be, as they asses, part of the aristocracy, was able to go to college and just contemplate ideas. That's all they had to do, was just to contemplate radical ideas. And then when they had the nerve and the audacity to write these ideas down and teach these ideas to the people, then for the first time ever, people was thinking about freedom. Really? Y'all really think that's how that happened? Y'all really think that's how that shit went down? People who were losing goddamn limbs in factories, babies as young as 5 being forced to work in these goddamn factories for pennies on the dollar and shit, not even pennies on the dollar. And you think that one day just some college student thinking about freedom for the first time and writing down beautiful ideas about freedom and sharing them beautiful ideas with some poor person, you feel me? Have y'all ever even seen Les Miserables, the play? What's his name? What's his name? Liam Neeson and Uma Thurman played in a TV adaptation, a movie adaptation of Les Miserables. So Les Miserables is about the French Revolution. Do you think it was just great thinkers, philosophers who was out there in the street setting shit off, beheading the aristocracy? Do y'all think that's how that happened? That the police one day, they had been terrorizing people to hell and back, just one day sided with the people and decided they was going to turn on the nobility that had been lining their pockets to terrorize human beings. That one day the police just grew a conscience and said, we going to go in there and get them aristocratic people in the nobility and let the people chop their heads off. Do you think that's how that went down? Do you think that there was a period, even now, as we look at the United States of America, and we know that the masses of people have been ill-educated deliberately. And even though they may not be able to fathom like how we can transition from this place to what true freedom looks like, because American democratic freedom is all. I love Les Mis. I'm sorry. People in my comment section rolling their eyes. Oh my God. Y'all a trip. Oh my God. Oh shit. I was not expecting that. Y'all just straight clap my ass in my own goddamn comment section. Woo. Oh my God. Oh shit, y'all. Oh Lord. Everybody going. Oh my God. Oh shit. Everybody going off in my comment section. Goddamn. Woo. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm done with y'all. I'm logging off this bitch. Constance Wu say, I think I'm burnt out from learning about these Europeans. Rose from the Dead. And Rose from the Dead, you in South Africa, ain't you? I think Rose from the Dead is in South Africa. She said, I was rolling my eyes at the French history. Les Mis was so boring. Y'all are bugging. Y'all are bugging. Y'all straight tripping. Oh, I didn't know you were in Los Angeles, woman. Hey, wait a minute. Why we ain't met yet? That's crazy. Why we ain't met? You need to email me and tell me if we met. I don't think we've met. We need to meet. How you in Los Angeles? Anyway, now that y'all done clowning my ass. But you know what? I'm going to tell you what I always tell you. You need to go back with fresh eyes. You need to go back with fresh eyes. You need to go back with fresh eyes. Because a lot of this shit we watch Don't clown me, Lily. You my girl. You my ace. Don't clown me. There ain't no need for that. You need to go back with fresh eyes. I tell y'all, I do that all the time. That every time I have a breakthrough or several breakthroughs, I go back to things that I loved, movies that I loved, even music that I love, because I know something's there. I know something's hidden there that I missed. Just like that breakthrough I had yesterday when I was talking to y'all about the movie I, Robot with Will Smith. Child, I was having a breakthrough in real goddamn time. That bullshit when the sister mentioned the Stepford Wives, I was like, goddamn, I gotta go back and watch that shit with fresh eyes. Because I'm telling you, man, there was a guy I saw on an interview. He had his face covered and his voice disguised and said he had been working for the Mossad for 30 years. The Mossad, in case y'all don't know what the Mossad is, it's like Israeli secret intelligence. He had been working for the Mossad for 30 years or so. And he said he's basically telling the interviewer, he's like, look, contrary to what y'all believe, contrary to what you think, he said, y'all really out here, y'all really think that these heads of state run some shit, that every president that's a president in their country, these European countries, China, India, that's what he said, y'all. He said, y'all really think these are the presidents of these countries? That's what he said. He said, we are the state. That's what he said in this interview. He said, we are the state. Everywhere you go, everywhere on earth, we are the state. We are the state. This nigga worked for the Mossad. He said, we the state. Everywhere you go, make no mistake. Whoever you see that's in some position of power, we are behind them. He said, let me tell you this. He said, y'all really think that Hollywood is just making movies to entertain you? Y'all really believe that? Y'all really believe that shit today? Y'all really believe that shit? He said, there's not a single movie in the history of Hollywood where the script was not, if not completely written by us, directed in its writing by us. There is not a single movie that has been produced and released in the history of Hollywood. That's what he said. There has not been a single movie released in the history of Hollywood that has not had to receive our approval before its release. That's what he said. That's what he said. He said, make no mistake. We are the Mossad. We are the state. We are the state. And so y'all be laughing at me when I talk in movie. When I be talking in movie, you feel me? There was another woman, an Israeli representative, who said, we know what it takes to rule the world. We know what it takes to rule the world. And so while you think, listen, she said her face wasn't covered. I don't remember who the trick was, but her face wasn't covered. She said, everything that you see happening in the world, it is a script inside of a grand play that we have orchestrated. We have written. That's what she said. When I tell you they are audacious and in your face about their intentions, about their objectives, about their overall goals, they know they can be audacious in what they say because they know your ass ain't paying attention. So you can watch a movie and be like, oh, that movie was trash. You feel me? That movie was trash. Like, y'all just clowning me on Les Mis. I said, go back and watch that shit with fresh eyes, bitch. Go back and watch that shit with fresh eyes. And I wasn't even no hardcore political activist when the first time I watched Les Mis. I'm always telling y'all this. I will always say this. I be conflicted in saying this, but I have to remain true to what I witnessed with my understanding, and I have to remain true to that. You feel me? And so I spent a long time talking about white people last night. And the reason why is because Les Mis will actually reveal to you it's never absolution. It's never absolution. It's never me offering an excuse for the behavior of white people on this planet. It's never anything that I say when talking about white history, when talking about the massive, giant chunks of European history that we don't know and they don't know. White people don't know their own history. They don't. They learn the same bullshit we learn about king this and that, and emperor so and so, and king this and that. They don't learn about who they were. They see themselves as kings, white people in America. And so there is nothing that behooves them to learn about the peculiar nature and expression of their suffering under the nobility, the church, and the aristocracy when they was in Europe. They ain't even interested in learning what sent they ass by the scores and hundreds of thousands, hightailing it the hell out of Europe to save their own lives. They were leaving Europe to save their own goddamn lives. Now, they tell you some mythology, the aristocracy and the nobility who wrote American history, tell you that the reason white people came over here is they were just looking for some religious freedom. That's all they came over here for. They was just looking for some goddamn freedom, some religious freedom. Lies from the mythological hell. That's not why they came over here. They came over here literally escaping brigandage. They had rained down on their head like holy unadulterated hell for 781 years. That's what they was hightailing it the fuck up out of there for. And they didn't see no relief in sight. They ain't see no relief in sight. And they also write the history. They also write the history like everybody who was white who came over here of their own volition. They just was like, I'll go. They don't tell you that just like in Europe, America was a goddamn slave colony of indentured goddamn indentured servants hemmed up in goddamn prisons all over Europe because they owed debts to somebody that they was making rich. Debtor's prison was what sent white people over here. Debtor's prison, all kind of shit. The people who came over here was at the bottom barrel. But look, we ain't gonna send nobody important over there, you feel me? Not right away. We gonna send them over there to test the terrain, you feel me? Like check some shit out for us, you feel me? Before we send anybody important over here to stake claim, to plant flags, to create some laws that are still in alignment with the aristocracy and the nobility and the goddamn church across the water. You feel me? They be lying. And unfortunately, white people who are the descendants of the sufferers of Europe, y'all, white people who are the sufferers of Europe came over here and at the slightest taste of power, because now they ain't got their nobility right over their head, at the slightest taste of power, began to do to others what had been done to them for 781 years. Why do I keep saying 781 years? Because America has existed for a little bit more than 400 years. Now, America as an actual entity since 1776. But they've been up on this shit. They've been posted the fuck up on this shit for 400 years. And why do I keep saying that's 400 years that we all have suffered the consequences of what spilled out of Europe? All of us, everywhere on earth, have suffered as a consequence of the sickness that spilled out of Europe all over the planet. 400 years we've been suffering under this bullshit. But baby, before suffering was extended to us at their hands, white people exclusively, and white women most in particularly, endured 781 years of the Inquisition. The Inquisition lasted 781 years. Contrary to what your bullshit ass history teacher taught you. 781 years. And because we learn history, even the history that we hate. That's why we be hightailing it out of our grade school, be trying to jump both feet first into our particular history. I'm gonna major in African American studies. I'm a major in Mexican studies, in women's studies, because we recognize that bullshit that they teach us has been superimposed on our skull. You feel me? And so I get why we do that. But in doing that and going hardcore into our peculiar brand of nationalism, we ignore the fact that not only do we ignore the fact, now I'm gonna say something controversial. Somebody panties gonna be in a bunch. Somebody panties gonna be in a bunch. So go ahead and pre-clutch your pearls. Okay? This your warning. 90% of the history that we are taught in these schools, isn't it interesting how they hardly know male teachers in none of the schools nowhere? But as soon as you get ready to learn history, they can dig up some goddamn male history teacher from somewhere. Isn't that interesting? Has that ever occurred to y'all? I don't think I've ever had a female history teacher. I don't think I've ever had my second year in college. I had my civics class. I had a female history teacher. But in my life, from kindergarten to now, I don't think I've ever had a female history teacher. All of my history teachers have been male. And so history placed in the hands, males placed as the chief custodians and guardians of history, teach history from a very male-centered, goddamn Euro-centered worldview. And so we all learn history that way. Black, white, red, brown, yellow, male, and all the genders in between. The chief custodians of history, always male. And no matter what their race is, up until very recently, they always Euro-centered. And so what do we expect to receive from history about who we have placed in our consciousness as the chief arch enemy of the world, which is Europe? And so every history that we learn about Europe consecrates that, concretizes that understanding. Like women didn't even exist in Europe. How many times you learned about white women in Europe in any way that was beneficial in any way? Even queens, all them queens they had in Europe. How many times you learned about queens? How many times you learned about queens in European history? And I'm telling you, I want y'all to be clear. I want y'all to be clear. I'm not jocking for white people. I'm not rallying for white people. I'm not giving white people no blanket pass or excuse for what they have done, what they have been responsible for, and what they have actively and enthusiastically participated in since they spilt out on the goddamn world. What I am trying to do is to make it so that those of us who are genuinely interested in changing the world don't go out into the world as political opportunists, one, because you don't know nothing about history, a whole giant chunk of history that has transformed your life you don't want to know nothing about. I'm tired of learning about white people. You ain't learned about white people. You have learned about white aristocratic nobility males in the church. That's all you've ever learned about. That's it. That's it. And then how they trickle off and establish themselves as your founding goddamn forefathers and shit, who are the descendants of aristocrats and the like. You ain't never learned about European history. You've learned about the greatest robbers in the modern age, raining down on Europe like holy unadulterated hell. That's what you learned about. And how to glorify that shit. Quote, revolutionary movies, quote, revolutionary gangster movies. I watched the movie about 10,000 times, so much so that me and my daughter memorized verses and speeches out the goddamn movie, only to be found out that I was hoodwinked, bamboozled. What Malcolm say? Hoodwinked, bamboozled, run amok, led astray. V for Vendetta. V for Vendetta. That was my jam. Wow. I'm thinking about the dude sporting the Guy Fawkes mask as this great revolutionary that's going to bring down empire in this dystopian future where Britain has become. It didn't occur to me till later. Who the fuck was Guy Fawkes anyway? Let me just Google this nigga. And the foundation for which that movie is based on, which they call the Guy Fawkes plot, right? The plot, the November 5th plot. Remember the 5th of November, the gunpowder. It's called the gunpowder plot, the gunpowder treason and plot, or whatever. And so I'm thinking this some gangster shit. You feel me? And I Child went right up on YouTube, right on goddamn Google, and they was like, "Nah, bitch, you in the movies, emotionally." I keep telling y'all, we got to be plotting and scheming, because this shit right here that's becoming more and more frequent. I'm gonna have to be out on the street corner down in Hollywood Boulevard or in these highly populated areas and shit, because we're gonna have to be back out there like the Nation of Islam was back in the turn of the century, where they got to pull out a big old giant box and stand on the street corner to get their mid out. You feel me? Because this shit it's absolutely purposeful. It's absolutely deliberate every single time. But let me just tell you really quick what this movie was about. Who Guy Fawkes was. Let me tell you something. In 2016, 2015, 2016, there was like this new invigoration of the Black Power movement, of Black consciousness in the South. Baby, we was about that life. And every time we would go to an event, there would be a whole slew of brothers. They were called Lone Star RBG. And they would buy the Guy Mask Fox and then paint the Guy Mask Fox red, black, and green. That's what I'm telling you. Everybody for almost a generation, because that movie came out, forget what year V for Vendetta came out, but it was not too far from the release of The Matrix, which was the other, foundational revolutionary movie of all of us who was Gen X, seeing ourselves as the great revolutionaries of the age and shit. And that too was some sleight of hands, slick ass, diabolical monstrosity The Matrix was. And I love that movie. Love that movie. And then I started this walk with the mother, and she was like, "Baby, you've been played. This movie is not about your liberation. It's not. It's not even about revolutionary rebellion. It's not. It's not. This movie is not about freedom and justice and sovereignty. It's not. It's a straight up sleight of hands manipulation to walk y'all asses right back into the embrace of Jesus, of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. That's what it is. See. Open your eyes. See. That's what it was. This movie about Guy Fawkes, V for Vendetta, that's what it was. Guy Fawkes and the gunpowder plot of November 5th was not about revolution. Sure wasn't. Sure wasn't. Baby, I sat there almost in tears reading about the gunpowder plot. Like, no. No. And this is before I knew that Natalie Portman was an Israeli. Because after I knew she was an Israeli, I was like, oh, now all this shit makes sense. Now all this shit makes sense. I'm sitting here rooting for this girl. She done shaved her head off, and she was like, I don't care. You can do whatever to me you need to do. I will never betray myself. And I loved this movie. And it's so hard to find information about the Wachowskis. The Wachowskis who produced both The Matrix and V for Vendetta and a whole host of other movies that was some turncoat ass, sleight of hands, bullshit and manipulation type bullshit to get in your skull and win you to some bullshit, to manipulate you to some bullshit. So I went on a deep dive trying to investigate the life of the Wachowskis. There's so little about them in their early lives. So little. So little. So little. And people are like, well, the reason why is because they don't want anybody to know about their lives before they made their transition. They just want people to respect that they're sisters now. Oh my God. Yo. Oh my God. Yo. Oh. Y'all. You, my God. Y'all. The Wachowskis. This wasn't even intended, but I got to. The Wachowskis. There's so little information about their early life, about who they were before they made their transition. It always bothered me. It always bothered me, like the time, the period through which they made their transition. It always bothered me. But because oh, 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 oh. Mm, 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 mm. Oh my God. Ah. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Ah. God damn. Uh. Mm-mm. God damn. Ah. Listen. Mm-mm. Oh my God. So. Mm-mm. Mm. Holy shit. Y'all. Oh. Listen. Oh my God. Listen. I need my research team. I already got one candidate. Janet says she on board. Email me if you are interested in being on my research team. There's something I talk to you guys about so often, but I talk about it so often, it's almost just like inconsequential. You know what I'm saying? Like, email me at evoemetemp@gmail.com if you want to participate in my research committee. This has to happen. It has to happen urgently. It has to happen urgently and right fucking now. Oh my God. Oh, it has to happen now. I'm always talking to you, but again, because I say it so frequently, I talk about it so frequently that it may even feel like inconsequential. Like, oh yeah, of course. You know what I'm saying? Not like pressing and urgent, but like kind of matter of fact. I'm always talking to you about these stories that we are constantly being confronted with every day. Historical stories. And I will tell you, see, here's another example of the son gone rogue, and the only way in his rogue mind, the only way that he can see that he can become more powerful than his mother is to disappear his mother, to disappear all evidence of, all history of, all contribution of his mother from the entire global consciousness. He cannot afford for anybody to remember the presence of the mother on earth. And the only way that he can do that, not only does he have to do that, metaphorically disappear, erase from human consciousness and spirit the evidence of the mother, the evidence of the primordial, but he also has to metaphorically slay her. So every story that we see is of the son slaying his mother. Every story that we see is of the mother rising up against his mama and slaying her, murdering her. Every single story. Name a story and I'll tell you how this motherfucker done killed his mom. You feel me? It's a retelling, a constant retelling based on Joseph Campbell's work about how symbolism is the oldest language on earth, and it remains in what we call our reptilian brain. These images, no matter how ancient they are, they remain. Our reptilian brain, our amygdala, our limbic system has literally stockpiled every single solitary memory compiled as a singular one in our subconscious, waiting there to be called upon. And symbols are the language that it understands. Symbols, that's it. And so, recognizing this, the son gone rogue has to murder his mother, but he has to retell the story over and over and over again. He has to replay this story over and over and over again. He not only does he do that, remember we were just talking yesterday about how all these men who be seeing the devil everywhere. Oh my God. See, I told y'all Beyonce is in the Illuminati. See, look at the signs and symbols. They all witches. They all in league with the devil. Oh my God. Everywhere. And I said, but isn't it interesting that every symbol they show you that is supposed to be a symbol indicative of one who is in league with the devil, of one who is being controlled by the Illuminati, of one who is a Freemason, of one who every single symbol they show you is yours. Every single symbol that they show you that is supposed to be indicative of this collective cult, that this cabal that runs the world, but every single symbol that they show you is yours. 99.9% of the symbols that they show you ain't just yours in general, people on the planet, but your black ass symbols. 99.9% of the symbols put before your face to tell the world that these symbols are the primordial inherent symbols of wickedness and evil and diabolatry, and they all happen to be Egyptian symbols. 99.9% of them happen to be Egyptian, like there were no other civilizations when Egyptian was at its apex, but they know they took your shit, your black ass shit. So what does this communicate to your reptilian brain, to your amygdala, your ancient brain who sees what's familiar in the image, though you can't articulate that, but your brain says, damn, that's familiar, and it elicits an emotional response. But partnered with this diabolical message superimposed on your images that your ancient self is familiar with, but they have their own goals and objectives to facilitate the continued theft of your resources, the continued theft of your blood, your chi, your yang, your essence, your energy, just like the battery you are, that they have learned how to turn into actual countable currency to the tune of $88 billion a year. And every image that they show you is yours. Why they do that? Because the son gone rogue in the murder of his mother. But the reason that he had to murder and disappear his mother from human consciousness was because his whole ambition was, I cannot be like God if God remains. I cannot be as powerful as my mother if she remains. And the only way I am going to get the entire world to follow me the way they followed her is to disappear her from human consciousness, is to slay her that she never reemerges, and then to hyperimpose all of the attributes attributable only to her for 30-something thousand years, superimpose them on myself and retell every story that is hers. Every story. Isn't that what we always talking about? Like, goddamn, this motherfucker couldn't come in all these thousands of years. In all these thousands of years, he couldn't come up with one original story of his own. Every single story he continued to retell is a flipping upside down and a turning inside out of a story he stole from his murdered mother. Every story, every symbol, every story, every fairy tale, every make-believe, every religion. He couldn't come up with nothing by himself. Like, goddamn, why you ain't using your brain? You your mother's son, whether you remember it or not. You are your mother's son, whether you remember it or not. The reason that you are God, bitch, is because your mother is God, and only God can only give birth to God. But your ass and your malignancy so far away from her now that you cannot recall that the reason you have the generative power of the universe is because mommy and I are one. I am not apart from her. I am she and she is me. Boy, child. But in his forgetting, in his complete and total completed severance from his mother, all he can do is reproduce malignancy. That's all he can create is malignancy. All he can all he can do is create malignancy. Oh my goddamn son of a bitch. Listen, child, we got to get up in this shit. This got to be the first book we write. We can write it together. We can all be co-authors. You feel me? We have to release this shit. Because when I tell you there is nowhere you can look. I'm trying to tell you, goddamn it. Name a conspiracy. Name a conspiracy theory. Name a story. Name a movie. Name a historical figure. Name a historical figure. And the story will be told over and over and over and over and over again in your face. In your face. And so in order to ensure that the mother never reemerges, that this is his plot, that the mother never reemerges, that the world never remembers who she is and her contributions to who they are, he tells her story from his frame of reference using her symbols to brainwash you into his embrace. He who has placed himself upon high in the world as the global male mother. And this story is repeated everywhere. I just told you yesterday that it wasn't until I started taking sitar lessons, an Indian instrument, that I learning the notes, that the word Mahatma is not a name, it is a title. The word Mahatma is a word, it's a word. It's not a title. It means mother or origin. Mahatma means mother or origin. It's used to describe the mother note when learning how to play the sitar. The mother note literally translates to Mahatma, she who gives birth to six. That's what the translation is. She who gives birth to six. Why is the mother note called Mahatma, she who gives birth to other six? Because there's 7 primary notes in the scale according to learning how to play this instrument, and the mother note gives birth to the other 6 notes in the scale. Meanwhile, we still say with reverence the name of Gandhi, who gave himself the title Mahatma Gandhi and said, professed out loud on camera, I intend to go down in history as the mother of a free and independent India. Why he say that? Why he say that? Why he didn't just say as the father of Indian independence? Why he didn't just say that? Why is it that Khalid Muhammad was astute enough to call the Pope the male mother with the secrets of all the crimes of Europe hidden under his dress. That's what he said. He said the Pope was the male mother with all the crimes of the last age hidden up under his skirt. He said, we need to tell the Pope, lift up that damn dress so we can see what you got hidden up under there. That's what he said. That's what he said. Why did Khalid Muhammad call the Pope the male mother? Why he said that? Why he said we need to make that dude lift up his dress so we can see what he got hidden up under there? Because according to Dr. Khalid Muhammad, he said, look, this is a scripture. This is a reference to a scripture where the scripture in the Old Testament says that it is a shame that to lift up one's shame, to lift up one's garbs. To lift up one's garbs is to reveal their shame. To lift up one's dress is to reveal what they have hidden. To lift up one's garb is to reveal their shame. What's your shame? He wasn't talking about looking at the Pope. He wasn't talking about looking at the Pope body parts. He was talking about the hidden crimes for which he is the monarch over, the Pope. He is the monarch over all the crimes committed by Europe. He is the monarch. And so I'm sitting here telling you, I'm having this whole moment when I was doing this deep dive. The reason I prefaced that way, y'all, is because when I tell you there's not a story that has not been stolen. There is not a story, but you have to know the story to recognize that it is yours, because they don't just steal the story. The Sun Gone Rogue does not just steal the story. He steals the story and then he turns it inside out and flips it upside down so it appears new, so that it appears different. But if you don't know the original story, you think, damn, men have created everything. Men have told all the tales. They wrote all the books. They did all the things. If you have history, tell it. Men did all the things. Women contributed nothing but being the perpetual repositories for the dumping of divine seed up for the Negro to dump his divine seed to make sure that he could reproduce himself over and over and over again. God damn. Oh. God damn. God damn. Y'all, I said I was going to be disciplined getting up on this call today. God damn. And why wouldn't that be the case? That the only value that women have had, have they sons tell it, have they sons tell the tale for the last 6,000 years. Have they sons tell it? Imagine. Have they sons tell the tale? Have they sons tell you the history of the world? And the only contributions that we have made have been the nameless. God fucking damn. Oh my God. Son of a bitch. Oh my God. Child, when I tell you, have our sons tell the history, and the only contributions that we have made as women on earth for 6,000 years is to be reduced to nameless. Son of a bitch. God damn. Mm-hmm. Damn. Nameless, faceless, nameless, faceless repositories for the gods on earth that our sons see themselves as, for the gods on earth to dump their divine seed to ensure that they, as the male mother, have the ability to reproduce themselves over and over and over again. Y'all think I'm lying, don't you? Y'all think I'm lying, don't you? Y'all think I'm just coming up with some shit off the dome. I literally just talked to y'all yesterday, and I know I dropped something on y'all yesterday that was a little bit heavy, but how the origin, the basis of every single solitary movie you've ever seen about the takeover of the world by robots, about robots becoming self-aware and the terror that it may rain down on all of us humans. How robots becoming self-aware will become smarter than us and render us useless. Oh my God. Every movie, I told you, the first dystopian movie ever made, first dystopian movie about robots, because the first dystopian movie ever made was made here in the United States, where they took an Indian dude. It was the first dystopian movie, side note, ever made in the history of this country, if you have me tell it, was Birth of a Nation. But when you Google what is the first dystopian movie ever made, it's not Birth of a Nation, because Birth of a Nation was the first movie ever produced and shown on screen in the United States. That was a dystopian goddamn motherfucking movie. But the first, according to a Google search, dystopian movie ever made in the history of this country was just as bad, because it was about the rapture of the church, Jesus coming back and rescuing everybody on earth who was saved and right with the Lord. The first dystopian movie in the United States. The first dystopian movie made in Europe that I am referring to, but was remains very popular today, is a movie called it was produced during the Second Reich. Isn't that fascinating? Because it was produced in Germany. It was produced in Germany during the First Reich. Yeah, it was. I mean, the Second Reich. Isn't that something? That the first movie about robots is this movie, Metropolis, produced in Germany in 1914. 1914, a silent movie called Metropolis about a robot that becomes self-aware. That was in 1914. It is a hugely popular movie. It is considered one of the foundational cult classics of the 20th century, spilling into the 21st century. This movie is referenced, I would be willing to wager a bet that this movie, because they know you don't know the movie in mass, this movie is probably the most referenced movie in the history of movie production in this country. I would actually be willing to bet money on that. I would actually be willing to bet money on that. But it was the first dystopian movie about a robot, Metropolis. Okay. And I told y'all yesterday, and I didn't go in deep, but I told y'all yesterday that the origin, that the foundational basis of every robotic dystopian movie about robots, machines, about AI going rogue and turning against human. Oh my God. Rogue and turning against humans. Killing humans, massacring the population. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. What I tell you, when you see everything, and it's not hidden. What I'm about to tell y'all is not well hidden. It's actually in your face. It's actually right there, right there, all the time. Everything I drop on y'all to be seen is so motherfucking deep. It ain't deep, child. It's shallow. It's right there at the surface, hidden in plain sight, all the time, manipulating the fuck out of you with your own shit. Oh my God. So yesterday I'm telling everybody on here, I'm like, yo, go back and watch every goddamn AI, robot, movie, everyone. I don't give a fuck who it is. If it's Terminator, if it's what's that, RoboCop, what's the other one? Surrogate, iRobot, it don't matter. Go back to every robot movie all the way back to Metropolis. As a matter of fact, start with Metropolis, because every single robot movie you have ever seen is cut from that cloth. I'm telling you, every single robot movie you have ever seen is cut from that cloth. You can literally extricate outright thefts and references of Metropolis in every robot movie you see. I might need to teach a class on this shit. And I also mentioned, what's her name? Mary Shelley in 1818, reduced to the number 9. In 1818, produces what most literature experts say is the first sci-fi book ever written. Mary Shelley in 1818. I will say that her book Frankenstein in 1818 is the origin for robot dystopias. I go that far. I will, because the MO is the exact same. The exact same. Word for word, play for play. But where'd she get the idea from? Because her ass was crazy. Mary Shelley, yes, she was. She was 18 years old when she wrote that book. Did y'all know that? Mary Shelley was 18 years old when she wrote Frankenstein. She was 18 years old in 1818 when she wrote the book Frankenstein. Did y'all know that? Did y'all know that? I guarantee you that the basis for every robot dystopian movie that you ever seen has Mary Shelley to thank for it, because isn't it the same story? You take random inanimate parts and piece them together and have some kind of conduit that makes them become not only animated, holy shit, not only elevated, oh my God. Not only animated, but self-aware. Oh my God. God damn. Y'all ain't hearing me though. Y'all ain't hearing me. Y'all ain't walking the walk with me, y'all. God damn. I don't want to get that deep on y'all today, because I'm snatched right now. I forgot about that, Lisa J. Can you email that to me real quick, please? I forgot about that, but that's a good one. I'm up in here having a whole motherfucking moment. And the moment is important. I know I started off talking about them Wachowskis, but I'm trying to tell you where they stole that shit from. That movie, The Matrix, that they produced, I'm trying to tell you. The first thing I said was it was a straight up, insidious, sleight of hands ass manipulation, targeting the most potentially revolutionary group of human beings at the time that it was released. Who was that? Me? Who was that? Gen X? It was us. Because we hadn't had y'all yet. Well, yep, my daughter was 3 years old when The Matrix came out. My baby was 3. So you millennials that I always be bigging up, y'all wasn't ready yet. That movie was targeting who? for the first time since the 60s, the most potentially revolutionary group of human beings at the time, which was Gen X. That's why the attacks on the music coming out of that generation, it wasn't just hip hop that came under assault. Everything came under assault. Every music, because every single genre of music was on some revolutionary gangster shit. Every genre of music of the late 80s and early 90s was about that life, was about that goddamn life. Rage Against the Machine, Tool, Anthrax, Dead Kennedys. Who else? All the hip hop. Sister Soldier, Ice-T when he formed the band Body Count, talking about Cop Killer. Everybody was on some fuck the system shit. Everybody, even the Dixie Chicks, who was literally they was the American favorites, ran the hell out of the industry because they position wasn't even that radical. It was like, damn, we so disappointed that the president is from our home state because he was out here raining holy hell on the goddamn planet. That's all they said. We sure is embarrassed that our president come from our state. And child, they had whole record burning parties of the Dixie Chicks. Mountains high, records and CDs. People feeling betrayed by the anti-patriotic sentiment and set they shit ablaze. That same revolutionary gangster I'm talking about, Sinead O'Connor, who just passed away 2 years ago, died in damn near oblivion, died of a goddamn broken heart. That bitch, she was a giant among men. She was a giant among ants, Sinead O'Connor. When she got on that stage as a young woman in her 20s in the 1990s, I saw it live when it happened. When it happened. The singularly most gangster thing anybody of our generation had done on public live television. And she was, the whole world loved Sinead. She couldn't lose at that time, even as odd as she was. Bald-headed, young, very thin, androgynous, Irish girl. And she could not lose and use that platform to get up on, what was it, the Letterman show, airing live around the globe. And after she sang her song, she was like, something to the effect of, why ain't nobody talking about the goddamn unending reign of villainy levied upon the heads of goddamn Irish people for the last some 100 years? And I say, goddamn the Pope, and took a picture of the Pope and trashed that shit and then set it on fire right there on national TV. I don't know nobody that's got that kind of gangster right now. I don't know nobody that's got that kind of gangster right now. That's why that movie was made. That's why that movie was released when it was. That movie, The Matrix, was released as a motherfucking spell. That's what it was. That's what it was. It was released as a spell. Not only that, not only did they release the movie as a spell, I just told you yesterday, the biochemistry of watching movies. I just told you yesterday about the biochemistry of movies and how movies have become exploiting your biochemistry when watching a movie, have become a greater and more deadly drug than any substance you can buy on the streets. Yes, it is. The impact, just as deadly. Yes, it is. You have become addicted to the drug that is your biochemistry, manipulated by this dude who sat up on there in a mask and with his voice disguised saying, the Messiah. We have produced every single movie. We have written most of the movies, or at least approved they writing, since the first movie that was ever released in this country. That's what we did. Why we do that? You really think movies is about your entertainment? Yeah, we can make some coins, while entertaining you. But there's also an objective that we have to reach through this. It's not my imagination. It's not my imagination. There are too many studies coming out of Nazi Germany of how they were able to elicit so quickly the kind of what's the word I'm looking for? The kind of enthusiasm they were able to, how they were able to grow their army as radically as they had and as violent as they were. I wish I still had it. I had a videotape of one of the brainwashing sessions regularly used on soldiers of the Third Reich. And so y'all remember that movie that came out in the 80s? What's the motherfucking name? Clockwork Orange. What's his name? The weirdo. He did Eyes Wide Shut. I forget his name. But anyway, Clockwork Orange, when the prison guard was like Kubrick, Stanley Kubrick. Yeah. In the prison, this dude was so violent. He went to prison because he and his squad, they was just raining hell on the good little British people, and they got arrested. And this guy that was in the prison was like a scientist. And he was a scientist. He was like, okay, listen. The people in the prison say that if you volunteer to be a test subject in my study, they'll let you out on good, and they see that the study works, they'll let you out on good behavior. They'll let you out early on good behavior. He was like, word? He was like, okay, I'll be a guinea pig for your little study. And in the study, he is strapped to a chair, head strapped to a chair so he can't move his head. His eyes are propped open with this little machine like that the ophthalmologist used to do surgery on your eyes. And it's got your lids open, and they have to put water in it because you can't blink. And so what the doctor decides is that he's going to have this dude for a couple of hours a day sit in this room with a big old screen, a projector on the wall of a movie that is playing. Okay? And this movie that is playing is going to be playing all the stuff that this dude like. This dude like robbing, stealing, raping, pillaging, looting, killing, fighting. He was a bandit. This dude, he was a bandit, and he loved all things violent for no reason, just because it's good, right? So the doctor has this scheme under the guise of curing violent tendencies. Oh yeah, oh yeah. And so he has the movie screen up. Dude can't blink. He can't look away. You feel me? He hooks him up to an IV. And in the IV is a medication that is going to cause violent vomiting. In the IV is a drug that causes violent vomiting. He don't feel the drug yet, but the movie is playing. He was like, oh, this the experiment? This, because the movie come up and it's got some woman, you feel me, and some dudes like aggressing against the woman and stuff. He was like, oh, this gonna be awesome. This gonna be great. This is what I get to watch. This gonna be great. And then as he's smiling, because he's like, yeah, this is awesome. As he's smiling, he's like, no cleanup, no nothing. Vomiting, violent hurls for hours. He's sitting in front of the screen. And he got to go through this every day. He got to go through this every day, right? The idea of the doctor was to deprogram violence from him. That every time he even thought about violence, just thought about it, not even committing it, the thought of violence would cause him to experience extreme nausea, therefore preventing him from committing acts of violence. So he perseveres. He makes it through the whole study. And he's like, I think I'm cured, doc. I think I'm cured, right? Playing. And when they let him out the jail, he was like, I'm trying to find my peoples. I'm trying to find my peeps. He's trying to find the boys that went to prison that went to jail with him, or he got caught and they got free, or whatever. Because he already plotting and scheming. He's like, what can we get into? What can we get into? He wasn't thinking about it. He was just like, what can we get into? And as soon as an idea came into his head about, I think, like breaking into somebody's house, projectile vomit, right outside the prison. Right outside the prison. I was very young when I saw that movie for the first time, and that shit stayed with me. Lo and behold, 10 years later, this dude called himself crushing on me, weirdo white boy, gives me this video, a video cassette. And on the video was an actual documentary showing, like recording in real time, a room full of Nazi soldiers looking at a screen. They had been given a drug that would make them feel good, you know, like an opioid, right? Mild, but an opioid. Each one in this theater full of soldiers. They're given this drug upon entry, and then they're looking at a screen. This is I'm trying to walk y'all through some shit. I will never forget this video. I don't know what I did with the cassette, but I was like, why would this weirdo white boy give me this shit? Right? And in the video, they show, and you hear somebody talking, describing what it is the soldiers are seeing. Okay? And there's subtitles across the bottom. They're speaking in German. So they see a movie. And when you're looking at the movie, it just looks like a man and a woman laying on a blanket in the park, making out. And then her shoulder strap comes down and a boobie pops out. They end up going through the act of making love. This what you seeing. This what I'm saying. And then the guy who is like describing what's happening in this movie. Now, this is like an observatory thing, right? And so he slows the movie down and shows. Remember, I was just talking to y'all yesterday about this book, The Search for Oneness, and how this is the detailing of a study that ascertained that, quote, you could cure mental illness, you could cure most human conditions with a metaphorical reconnecting of the child to the mother. The hypothesis that led to this study was these three Jewish scientists, psychiatrists, coming up with this random hypothesis that theorized that everything wrong with human beings, especially mental disorders, are caused by premature umbilical cord severing, cutting the baby away from the mother too soon. Premature umbilical cord severing. This was the hypothesis. And so, setting out to prove the hypothesis, if we could, mentally remend or reconnect the broken person to their mother, would it cure their condition? This is what that set out to prove. And it did, which is the basis behind we end every so-called prayer, every conspiracy, with the phrase, "Mommy and I are one." Remember how I told y'all they executed that? This was in the 70s. So they used a tetastoscope, which was popular at the time. A tetastoscope was used to splice film, to splice images in film so that the images are hidden to your eyes, but your eyes still detect them, but it imprints on your subconscious mind. Splicing is how they did that. And in every movie, for every control group, they would splice a different phrase, just a white screen with black words. And the words or the phrase that was permanently effective, so much so that several of their schizophrenics were able to permanently come off medication, was "Mommy and I are one. Mommy and I are one. Mommy and I are one. The Search for Oneness." That's the name of the book. So if these scientists know that shit, isn't it possible, isn't it feasible that they can do that shit in reverse? That they can do something like that in reverse? So this video that I received, I was like 22, 23 years old, where the guy who is explaining what we seeing in this video slows the video down of the couple making love, of other scenes, of like stuff that would naturally turn you on, right? Pornography, a nice couple who love each other, a couple in the car making out, all of these scenes, and all of them are about sex. You hear what I'm telling y'all? All of the scenes that these soldiers think they're watching is sex. And so the natural response when your eyes see people having sex is that certain hormones in your body are released that get your juices flowing and make you want to release with or complete with orgasmic release. Isn't that right? This guy slows the video down and shows that throughout the video, using a tetastoscope, they have spliced throughout the film images in the film that they cannot detect with their actual eyes, but are imprinting, mixed with the flood of endorphins and dopamine and other feel-good hormones, specific oxytocin, specifically related to the act of love making or having sex. Oxytocin, What did I tell y'all about oxytocin 2 weeks ago? That it's not only your love hormone, it is the hormone responsible for the feelings of hate. Oxytocin. It's the same hormone and its polar presentations. It's the same hormone. Hate and love are governed by the same hormone in its polar presentations. This motherfucker is showing a video of how you talking about the 1940s. You talking about the 1940s, the rise of the Third Reich. You're talking about the 1940s, not even 100 years ago. Taking these films and splicing them, and the images that they are splicing them with are the most out. You cannot imagine, as a human being that's actually a human, the images that were spliced into this movie to program their soldiers. Images of animals being trained to consume humans. Images to say that image was the gentlest of all the images spliced through this movie. The dogs being trained to devour humans. That was the least violent image spliced through this movie. That in the soldiers' minds was just pornography. Oh, they gonna let us come up in here, all us up in here at the same time? This dope. Meanwhile, they are being trained to experience the same kind of rush, the same kind of high, the same kind of urge for completion through orgasmic release in committing the most gruesome acts imaginable inside the skull of a human. So when I tell you that medical school changed me, there is nothing unbelievable to me. Medical school did that. Reading medical studies did that. This shit is not conspiracy theory. When I told y'all yesterday that you are a drug addict, you're a drug addict. Your ass is a drug addict. White people, y'all are drug addicts. The drug is your own biochemistry weaponized against you. You're a drug addict. You're a drug addict. All y'all laid up on my shit the other day talking about, I love horror movies. The grosser, the better. Y'all are drug addicts. Y'all are drug addicts. You poor women who have been the perpetual, unending victims of this method. Addicted to romantic comedies, rom-coms, romance movies. Child, your asses is drug addicts. Your asses is drug addicts. Your asses is drug addicts. Those of us who was Gen X, and every movie we wanted to watch was some revolutionary gangster movie about how we was going to set shit off and change the world, not knowing that the images and symbols used in these movies were being manipulated because of their familiarity to our reptilian brain, with the images meeting the goals and objectives of our absolute enemy, and then using music on top of it, because the whole soundtrack for the Matrix was awesome. Rage Against the Machine, Tool, Front 242. Using revolutionary music of our youth, producing hormones, using the images familiar to our ancient mind, manipulating familiarity and symbolism, while all the while manipulating through the images they present to your actual eyes to use your own hormones and biochemistry against you, like an actual goddamn war waging within yourself. Oh my God. Waging against yourself, child. This thing with the Wachowskis, who are guilty of it. That's why I got on this whole diatribe that I intended not to go into. That's why I got on the Wachowski brothers. This whole deep dive is because I was always so perplexed after I started realizing that every single solitary thing they produced was some sleight of hand shit. I was like, who they is? What they about? What they playing at? Why they keep making these movies that on the front are so dope, so awesome, so radical? And then when you start deep diving into the shit, it's like, damn, this some straight turncoat shit. Every single one. Straight turncoat shit. Straight turncoat shit. Make the purpose of the Matrix was to walk your ass, thinking you're a revolutionary, to walk your ass right back into the embrace of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. And they don't even have to hide it. They literally tell you in your face. This ain't no shit that you got to see between the lines. It's right in your face. It's right in your face. It's right in your face. If you don't believe me, there's some, what's the black science guy everybody like? The black science guy with the little baby afro. What's his name? What's the baby science with the little afro? Child, I just watched. Literally, now I've been plotting and scheming on my Matrix deep dive for a long time, but I didn't want to release it premature. You feel me? And then just a couple of months ago, I see a interview with the science guy, with the black science guy, interviewing Lawrence Fishburne about the Matrix. And so he tell Lawrence Fishburne, he said, I'm a science guy. So when I saw the Matrix, I was like, there's a lot of science in here. So he said, I got some questions. Yeah, Neil Tyson deGrasse. He did an interview with Lawrence Fishburne about the Matrix, asking him questions, trying to see if he was right. And Lawrence Fishburne said, yeah, exactly what you saw is what you saw. Exactly what you saw is what you saw. So I'm in here for the last 5 years talking about, listen, the Matrix was trying to rock your ass. No, it was Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm sitting here telling y'all for 5 years that Cypher, who we hated because he betrayed the homies, that Cypher wasn't the bad guy. That Cypher wasn't the bad guy. Cypher was the only one in the crew who still had his common sense. Cypher was not the bad guy. Cypher was the only one in the clique who still had his right mind. That everybody in the clique was caught up in the mythology. All the homies was caught up in the mythology, y'all. And how the movie was literally recognizing the tendency that existed among young, frustrated people of the 90s, was trying to figure out a new way to walk people back into that goddamn church. That's what it was. And in this interview, Neil deGrasse says, so is this movie about Jesus? Lawrence Fishburne say, yeah. Is your character Morpheus analogous to God? Yeah. So Neo obviously being the one, an anagram for the one, he obviously Jesus. Yeah. And then Trinity, the white girl dressed in all white, dressed in all black, she is obviously a representation of the Trinity. Yeah. This is Lawrence Fishburne saying what you think you see is what you see. So can they be revolutionaries if they are a representation of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit? How revolutionary can they be? He say it's in your face, all this biblical symbolism. They ship was called the Nebuchadnezzar. The only place where real humans exist is Zion. And where is Zion? The only warm place left on earth. Where is Zion? Near the earth's core. What does Zion look like? It looked like hell. All the pictures ever drawn of hell, don't Zion look like hell? It's red. It looked like a deep cave with them long rock formations coming out the ceiling. Every one of the characters got some biblical name. Don't even get me started on all the twin symbolism throughout the entire movie. That's all we've been talking about for 4 months. The actual black twins who don't look black. Oh shit. Oh my God. And Y'all, this shit is everywhere. It's so everywhere that your ass can easily get caught up. The twins in the second Matrix, the dreadlock twins, but they all white. They all white. White hair, white skin, white matching outfits, right? Them twins, right? Who them twins look like? I'm having a whole motherfucking moment. This is like a spider web moment. This is what I call a weaving moment. This is where you can literally see the threads. Just whoop, whoop. This is a weaving moment. Who them twins look like? Who them twins look like? Them Negro twins with the dreadlocks in the second Matrix movie. All white from head to toe. All white, all white. Who them twins look like? Who them twins look like? Them twins look like them ice twins. Look like them ice twins in the Game of Thrones. The ice twins who accompanied the Ice King with the flowing hair, who all white, everywhere white. Why they do that? Why they do that? What have we been saying for 4 months then? About twin energy that is showing everywhere. As we have a Gemini president with a Leo sun who was running against a Negress who has a Gemini rising and a Libra sun and an Aries moon. She and he represents the dual opposing twins. She black, she blackish. She black, he white, she relatively young, he old as Methuselah. He represents the sun gone rogue or utmost young. She is supposed to represent his dual opposite. They both Geminis. They both Geminis. Her middle name literally means goddess. Her middle name, Kamala, her middle name literally means goddess. I was like, don't nobody find that fascinating? Don't cause a big old giant question mark to like ping over everybody's head? That didn't give pause to nobody. I was like, that's real fascinating, y'all. You understand? They both is Geminis, but this is still one. This symbol is still one. Even if this one is in disharmony with itself, it's still one. So these poles, the positive and the negative, represent the polar faced opposition. Black against white, male against female, young against old. That was literally in your face last summer when they sprung this shit on you 3 days after the make-believe assassination attempt of your president. And 3 days later, they were like, fuck the democratic process. We just gonna put Kamala forward as the Democratic representative. That's what they did. They didn't give the Democratic Party a choice. They didn't have a voting process. They was like, no, she the one. 3 days after your boy was because they didn't vote on him either. They were like, he the guy. He the guy. He the one that's gonna run for the Republicans. She gonna be the one that runs for the Democrats. And y'all jump both feet first into this verbatim historical retelling of an old ass mythology based on the plucking of your heartstrings. That's what y'all did. This story is old, it's old, it's old, it's old, it's old. No matter how they tell it, it's the same story. It's the same story. This dude, Gemini, that he is within himself, he is the dual presentation of the Gemini. Married, got kids, fakes at being the dutiful father. Meanwhile, the first president in the history of the country to be a felon going into office. 34 felonies at that. To be accused of the most monstrous crimes one can imagine, crimes against children. He himself is the dual opposition of the polar extremes of the sun gone rogue. He white, he male, he a billionaire, he old. You feel me? He himself. And then this goddamn movie Sinners comes out and throws a wrench in our whole shit. and our whole shit. Because now we can't not see twins nowhere. Now we cannot see twins nowhere. Like, damn, they really be playing in our face like that. They really be playing in our face like that. Why they do that? You feel me? Is not Neo and Morpheus and Morpheus and Trinity not polar opposite presentation? They the triple face goddess. Stolen, turned upside down, flipped upside out, and presented to you as the Holy Trinity. God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. This is another telling of the biting of the mother story, because they know how familiar it is to you in your flesh, in your DNA, in your cells, in your ancient memory, in your limbic brain that governs 90% of your behavior, your limbic brain, your amygdala. So you got to steal the story, because you know the whole human population, the greater part of the evolutionary process has been guided by the images of the mother as the primordial supreme. And if you intend to be greater than her, then you can't write your own shit. You got to steal every last one of her stories and flip that shit upside down and turn it inside out and then present it back to people, because you know that the symbolism is what they are familiar with. It's what manipulates their heart. You feel me? You feel me? And it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Why though? Why are they so gung-ho on all this mythology about the twins? Why is it showing up so deep? Why is this movie Sinners? I did a 13-hour live on the movie Sinners. That shit was like a goddamn black hole. That shit was like a goddamn black hole. Twin symbolism everywhere, not just the obvious twins that they put in your face because he's good looking. Twin symbolism etched throughout the entire movie, all the way to the bitter end of the movie, all the way to the closing scene after the credits. I said, God damn, this shit is deep. This shit is deep. Why is this important? Because the Wachowskis, who've written all these stories that have been manipulating, literally brain screwing you. So I don't get too graphic. Literally brain screwing you with all these movies, making you think you hard, making you think you ready when the shit go down. You ready. You gonna bust back when the shit go down. You gonna be ready for the revolution. No, you ain't. No, you ain't. Not if you can't open your eyes and see. No, you ain't. Not if you can't open your eyes and see. Not if you don't get deep up in this walk with your mother. No, you will not. That child, it's literally like creating sleeper cells in your ass through the manipulation of your chemical cocktails, always flowing through your body based on what you perceive. This drug flowing through your blood every time you go on social media. They tell you in your face. It ain't even like this some shit I'm making up. They tell you. Y'all is addicted to social media. How do you get addicted to social media? Is it that your thumb get addicted? Is it that your eyes get addicted? No. You get addicted to that chemical cocktail flowing through your blood every time your eyes perceive anything. 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 You feel me? And so the Wachowskis, who I was like, why they do that? Why can't I find out nothing about their life except where they was born before they became women, before the brothers became sisters? Because they twins. They fraternal twins, but they twins. The Wachowskis. And then I'm reminded of all these stories that I'm freaking out about while I'm talking to y'all. These stories of the son gone rogue, stealing the mother's ancient archetypes and flipping them upside down and turning them inside out. And when they do that, all they can produce is malignancy, where the mother's creations are created in love and only produce love, where the son takes a hold of them and he is completely severed from his relationship to his mother. All he can produce and reproduce is his malignancy. That's all he can produce. That's why everything he creates is violent. That's why everything he creates has violent outcome. Everything. Could it be anyone other than the sun gone rogue that creates atomic weapons, nuclear weapons? Could it be the atom? We've mastered the art of splicing the atom. Let me tell you, in this deep dive that I did about Uranus and Gemini, that's the reason all this twin energy. That's the reason all this twin energy is because Uranus is going to be in Gemini until the year 2033. That's why they have been prepping us all this time. The Matrix was released in the year 2000. In the year 2000, the Matrix was released with all this twin symbolism all throughout the movie, with all this biblical symbolism all throughout the movie, through every single one. Neo, the one, Jesus that he is, Messiah, prototype that he is, dies on an electrical computer cross in the movie. In the movie. They got him blindfolded, lying on a crucified on a lit up cross in the third movie, in Resurrection. Yeah, they do. They tell you in your face, and you still cannot see. Still can't see. So what they trying to tell you? What are they communicating to each other in their manipulation of you? You can only see this. They doing something. They up in your skull for a reason, to guarantee the outcome that they are trying to produce. That's all. It's that simple. To guarantee the outcome they are trying to produce. That's it. All the time, every time. Every movie score, every deliberate, methodic song they use to add to the movie score because they know that's your jam. You feel me? What's the outcome? What you're looking at right now in real time, that's the outcome they're trying to produce. You think that all this shit is spontaneous. Not that the movie Matrix, not that any of these movies were a preview, because they can tell you in your face, a preview of what was to come, a preview of this period where for the first time in 84 years, Uranus would enter back into the sign of the great heavenly twins, the Gemini. The great heavenly twins, the governors of innovation and new technology, and in all things governing the air. They call the energy of the Gemini the mind of God. That whatever God can conceive of, you can conceive of and create. They call the Gemini the mind of God. But the Geminis is crazy. Y'all know them Geminis, they're crazy. You feel me? They literally got split personalities disorder, don't they? Here are the Wachowskis. Make this movie called The Matrix. Yes, it was stolen, but they still produced the movie from the stolen, from the stolen writing, right? And this movie is literally detailing, walking you back into the embrace of God the Father, God the Son, the Spirit, God the Holy Spirit. That movie was released in 2000, in the year 2000. Here we are under the mutinous leadership of a Gemini sun and a Leo rising in his second term, right? His second term. His first term, numerologically, his term, the number of his term, reduced to the number 9. The year of his term reduced to the number 11. 9/11, his first term. His second term that we in right now reduces. The year is a number 9 year, and his term is a number 11 year. 9/11. Twins in reverse, mirror images of twins. 9/11, his presidency in the year. 11/9, his presidency in the year. Damn. Y'all think I'm tripping, don't you? Y'all here, this movie was literally telling you in your face the plan that they had for you. Who is the they? Those who I just told you said everything that is produced, everything that falls before you, we have planned. And because we are, quote, God's chosen people, the Talmud tells us that the only way we can be seen as sinless when we do certain things is we have to tell you to your face what we plan to do to you. We have to tell you to your face what we plan to do to you. And once we tell you to your face what we plan to do to you, we can no longer be accused of committing a sin. That's according to the Talmud. That's how they receive absolution. Is as long as I tell you I'm going to commit genocide against you, then we cool. As long as I tell you that we intend to break the institution that you've grown accustomed to down brick by brick by brick, as long as we tell you that we intend to do that, then we all right where our religion is concerned, because we God's chosen people. You feel me? All that other stuff was about you Gentiles. It wasn't about us. You feel me? As long as we tell you, like in the Matrix, that we are one of the three spokes on the Triton. What did we talk about yesterday? We are one. We God's chosen people. You feel me? We are one of but three spokes on the mighty Triton. You got the mighty Triton, two stolen from your mother, the mighty Triton. We represent the three heads of the Triton. And so while we will put on a play in your face, fake fighting, faking aggression, I don't like you and you don't like me. And we don't like you because you believe in Allah. And we don't like you because you believe in Jesus. And we don't like you because you Jews, y'all killed our Jesus. And Jews don't like Christians because Jesus ain't real. He ain't the real Messiah. And we will fake fight. We'll pump fight. We'll fake fight. But at the end of the day, we are the descendants of a singular one, of our imagination. We are the descendants of a singular one, our father, Abraham, here. Right? You feel me? Abraham, our daddy. So we fake fight like siblings do, you feel me, in your face. Meanwhile, our objectives are the same. Our objectives have never changed. I want the same thing that he want, and he want the same thing that he want. We all on the same page, and everybody else is just a pawn in our machinations. Yes, even our own people, even people who look just like us, even people who believe in their heart for real, the bullshit we tell them about the sanctity and superiority of our particular religion. We all the same. We all got the same objective. We all got the same objective. And it's not just them. This is just the newest face of the them. This is just the most recent face of the them. Before, it was the them that you know as the descendants of Abraham, Judaism, Islam, and Catholicism / Christianity. Before it was them, it was Zeus, Poseidon, and Neptune. And the Greeks believed in them just as vigilantly as y'all believe in y'all new rendition of this Trinity right now. And an even more modern Trinity, an even more modern version of this Trinity is who? Now y'all really about to start clutching pearls. The newest, most modern rendition of the same motherfucker whose ambitions have never changed. Even if, given the period, they need to wear new masks. They need to present in new and dynamic ways. Their ambitions and goals have never changed. And it's singular, their ambitions and goals. It's singular. Today, it is capitalism, communism, and socialism, and the fake fighting they do among each other in the last period. Bullshit. Bullshit. That's them. That's them. That's them. The aristocracy, the nobility, the church, the state, all one. The plutocracy, the oligarchs, the corporatocracy, all one. All one. And the majority of people on earth stay in a perpetual state of increasing despair, pledging loyalty to fucking make-believe. Because every story that they tell you is your mother's story, robbed from you using her images and her familiarity to win you to your own destruction and demise as they rob you blind. And there is nothing, everything tells you this story. Everything tells you this story. Everything tells you the story. Here you have twin brothers turned sisters. And I'm going to tell you why I had a problem with the timing of them, quote, coming out as trans, with the timing of them, quote, recognizing that we were both trans and we were living a lie, and that actually the Matrix was about the fact that we had to hide our true selves. You lying. You lying. You lying. And I want to tell you something. My trans family, please do not take this as a jab, but you have to recognize that even the story of the he that becomes she, that is replete through 6,000 years of mythology and replayed out in actual historical in historical record. We talked about one for a long time, King Nero. King Nero. He wasn't the only one. There were many across many cultures of the he who becomes she, but not because I'm not living my truth. Every single mythological story about the he that becomes she, whether it is a human or a god, the he that becomes she, every single time that story is told, it is told as a manipulation. The he that becomes she for the sole purpose of invading spaces to steal, quote, secrets. Every single story, every single story, every single story, every single story, every single mythology. A mythology so pervasive that it exists, it's etched in the memory of the actual heavens with Hermes. Mm-hmm. Y'all gonna be mad with Eshu and the Legba, the divine twins. Mm-hmm. With the Ibeji. Mm-hmm. It's told over and over and over again. And that motif too is stolen outright from your mother, flipped upside down, turned inside out. And because it's turned upside down and flipped upside down and turned inside out, it can only be a malignant version, a damaging version, a harmful version of the mother's story. This story, stolen by the sun gone rogue, retold to you for 6,000 years, is a story of the son gone rogue attempting to access the secrets of the mother. The son gone rogue attempting to access the secrets of the mother, envious of the primordial archetype of the mother, which is her as identified as the divine androgyne, the he that exists within the her, the he that exists within the she, the he, that's the divine androgyne. That's the divine androgyne. And so all of these stories from Persia, from Asia, from Africa, y'all gonna be mad, from Africa, from Europe, from the Americas, of the he that becomes she, I'm talking about the stories, are told to us in a way, oh my gosh. It's everywhere. Let me shut up. It's already 3 hours. Let me shut up. Okay, so let's get back to this astrology. But this is deep, y'all, because this is a walk. This quote Gemini energy, this heavenly twins energy that is being pushed down our throats to win something at our expense, to disempower us, to flip the script using our own symbols and stories against us. This shit is deep and it's pervasive and it's everywhere and it's in your face. It ain't even hidden. It's in your face. So let's go. So I talked to you last night about the last Uranus in Gemini, which corresponded with our entry literally days. Like Gemini literally, Uranus literally transitioned into Gemini 3 days before Pearl Harbor, which was what finally changed the American people's minds about our entry into the Second World War. Because up until that point, they said 85% of the American population was opposed to America's entry into the war. And after the bombing at Pearl Harbor, which was a what do they call it? It's called what's it called? A false flag operation. Pearl Harbor was a false flag operation instigated by the United States to guarantee that the only response that Japan would be able to make was to bomb Pearl Harbor, right? So after the bombing at Pearl Harbor, voluntary enlistment into the military surged out of control. That was right 3 days before Uranus entered Gemini. And that period of Uranus in Gemini was 1942 to 1949. And the reason I was upset last night was because I told you in all of these, so yesterday represented our third Uranus in Gemini as the United States of America, because America was born under Uranus in Gemini. The Declaration of Independence and all of that shit was signed in 1776 during a Uranus in Gemini. So that's the United States birth chart, was with a Pluto in Aquarius and a Uranus in Gemini. Okay. And how upset I was that these monumental events marked by Uranus and Gemini historically, the American Revolutionary War at the birth of the United States, Uranus and Gemini, the Civil War, Uranus and Gemini, and World War II, Uranus and Gemini. Uranus and Gemini has always corresponded within days of a war in the United States, 2 of those wars being on U.S. soil. And so I was really frustrated by watching all these astrologers talk about war. And every time Uranus and Gemini, war. War. But Uranus and Gemini both, that's just one sliver of an aspect of possibilities and potentialities presented by each planet and each sign. And so when you got a whole slew, I watched 15 hours of astrologers, and not one of them deviated from that script. So I'm like, is y'all the police now? Like, did somebody get in touch with y'all and say, okay, look, don't be mentioning nothing else but the war? Because nothing else was offered. The only innovation as Uranus is the chief of radical inventions. The only innovation mentioned in 3 freaking Uranus Gemini 3 Uranus and Gemini stations or transitions. The only innovations mentioned was what you call it? Let me look. And the first one, there were no innovations. Let me go back because I wrote my notes kind of backwards. In innovations in the 3 Uranus so now I can't, they're saying I cannot go live on my TikTok anymore because I've received a warning for my first violation. The next violation was strike. Somebody must have flagged me. It says misinformation in global community is natural for people to have different opinions, but we seek to operate on a shared set of facts and reality. We not allow inaccurate, misleading, or false content that may cause significant harm to individuals or society, regardless of intent. Hell no. I don't agree with this shit. Sorry, hold on. Bitches. Oh my God. Okay. So the first they talk about, so several, like I said, I watched several different astrologers because the historical occurrences are what are fascinating to me, because it does give you the opportunity to see if there are echoes, potential echoes in the coming event, and all of the potential all of the potentialities represented by that same energy. Girl, you Constance woo woo. Yeah, I hear we're gonna have to create our own shit. That's just the bottom line. That's the bottom line. While billionaires own and control all forms of social media, where are all you STEM people? Where are all you programmers? We need to create whole new systems of social media that are not tied to goddamn billionaires. That even if you have to charge something so you make the coins you need to make to sustain your life, we are not beholden to the influence of billionaires under the guise of morality and shit, that the censoring is so specific in one direction. Bullshit. Anyway, so they talked about a lot of Uranus and Gemini inventions or innovations that extend out past the United States. So I will go over some of those, but I want to start with the US. That in the US, I'm feeling lightheaded. In the US, just before, excuse me, just before the our entry into what would be our first there's one called Followers Forever, created by a Black disabled woman in Oakland. Woo! Thank you. I'm gonna check that out ASAP. Somebody was saying they were trying to back. Do y'all know that the first social media platform was Black? The first social media platform was Black. It was Black Planet. I remember Black Planet. The first ever social media platform was Black Planet. And then just like regular, all the others copied it, stole it, repackaged it. The very first social media was all Black. It was called Black Planet. Could nobody be up on there but us. Sure enough. But I heard somebody. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. Followers Forever. I heard somebody was trying to bring Black Planet back. I'd be off of that. But anyway, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to say it on here. I'm feeling really lightheaded. 2 years before our entry into the first Uranus and Gemini, because the Uranus and Gemini is not just about innovation, which it is, but it's also indicative of specifically innovations around aviation, air travel, that type of thing. Because Uranus, the sign of Aquarius is Uranus, is ruled by Uranus. Gemini too is an air sign. So it's always marked by Uranus and Gemini is always marked by innovations in aviation or anything to do with the air. So the first Uranus and Gemini was the first hot air balloon. That was the innovation in aviation. The first hot air balloon in 1774. 1774, the first hot air balloon. And it's funny because right now in aviation, they're talking about using lighter fuels to increase the efficiency of air travel, aka helium. And what was the other one? Helium and something else. They were talking about using lighter fuels. Lighter fuels to increase the efficiency of aviation. That's happening right now. And so it's interesting that literally 2 centuries later, they're 2 centuries after the first use of helium in the hot air balloon, which was the innovation of aviation at the time that the United States was born under a Uranus and Gemini. Innovations that we'll talk about Uranus right now. Europe right now. But this was in America, actually. During what is considered the first official Uranus in Uranus and Gemini in the United States, because the one it's born under doesn't count. The first one is technically the second one. During what would be the second Uranus and Gemini, 1858 to 1865, the Pony Express began, which was an innovation in communication, right? The rapid delivery of mail, the Pony Express, right? Another innovation of that period, 1858 to 1865, was the first transatlantic cable system was laid down for the telegraph system. So the telegraph was made possible by the laying of the transatlantic cable that allowed for this radical innovation in cross-ocean communication. That happened also during that first technically first Uranus and Gemini. The interesting thing about the laying of the cable for telegraph communication was, according to one of the astrologers, that telegraph cable is still in use today. That very first that occurred in 1858, laying down of the first telegraph cable, this innovation under Uranus and Gemini, that telegraph cable is laid, y'all, in 1858, almost 200 years ago, is still in use today. That's huge, right? Then I'm going to go ahead and talk about the period from 1941 to 1949, but I am going to add things that I was upset about that not one of these astrologers, not any of the black ones or not any of the white ones, saw fit to mention. Just completely erase the fact that black people were not only alive, but infecting every space during these periods of time. I was like, why they ain't mention no black people? And you talking about the Civil War, and you saying that the trigger for the Civil War was white boy John Brown jumping off the Harper Ferry raid? Anyway. So 1941 to 1949, with my black facts included. Yes, our entry into World War II, innovations in aviation, yeah. as a consequence of the war. The creation of the first supercomputer. Black people came together. Black critical thinkers came together to draft and release in 1948 what would be called the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Black soldiers, I'll go into that later. I can't hang. Maybe I'll come back a little later, but I can't hang right now. I don't know what's going on, but I can't even stop yawning. I'll come. It's 7:40 now. It may be late, but I'm gonna come back tonight. I'm gonna log off, but I'll be back later. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you for hanging with me. I'll see y'all later. Peace.